Welcome to LRL's annual Global Youth Leadership Conference. I'm Debbie. I'm honored to have been a member with LRL for over 10 years. I'll be moderating. This is LRL's virtual conference as we continue to be safe and healthy, of course. We're honored to host this online platform with our incredible young leaders from across the world. We're going to hear from several individuals today about leadership, entrepreneurship, their success stories, and it's going to be an excellent mentor. So thank you for joining us. We're going to have all our volunteers introduce our speakers. First volunteer, you can go ahead. Christina.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, my name is Christina. I go to Shanahan High School and I am in the 10th grade. And today I will be introducing Dr. Kimberly Clay, Think Like a Girl organization from Nashville, Tennessee. Dr. Clay is a founder and CEO of Play Like a Girl, a Nashville-based nonprofit organization working to level the playing field for girls by leveraging the skills gained from sport to propel young women into male-dominated careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Good morning. Thank you for that introduction. Are we introducing the full panel or by individual?
You can go ahead, Dr. Clay.
Okay, awesome. Okay, to get us started, I want to talk about the importance of volunteerism. So to keep things, or to at least kick them off interactive, we're going to use the chat bar. So another word that is often used synonymous with volunteer is serve. So I want you to choose a letter in the word serve that describes for you the importance of volunteerism and put that in the chat box. So take one letter of the word serve, S-E-R-V-E, that best describes the importance of volunteerism, and add that word to the chat box. And because I am working from my phone as well, somebody on the team there, as they're coming in, kind of read them off so that we can all share in the experience. Selflessness, service, I see. Empathy, we don't want to use the actual word, so use another word for S in the word serve. And we'd like everyone to participate. So I want to see more words come through the chat box. Responsibility, very good. Sympathy, valuable, or value. Excellent. I know there's more than 7 people on the call this morning, so get your fingers moving. You're going to be using the chat box throughout the day, so we may as well start now. Impact or impactful, everyone. Selflessness is really showing up a lot. Eager, enlightenment, creativity, radiant, empowerment, evolving, revolutionary, enthusiasm, sharing, generosity. All right, so while those keep coming in, I want to actually have Debbie share, because I've never heard the word revolutionary. And I think that where we are in this moment in time in our country, I would assume that that probably in some way provokes the choice of that word. You're in a swing state, and it's an important day today in your state. So can you share why you chose revolutionary as a word to describe the importance of volunteerism? Because I would say that that is probably one of the most powerful ways to describe the importance of volunteerism.
It's exactly why I did
Yeah.
for exactly what's going on since the beginning of COVID, since the beginning of time, really. But now we're seeing all these young leaders come out, like not just
Yeah.
come out, oh, peace, power. No, no, they're fighting for the rights of everyone. And I haven't seen that in my lifetime until now. And I'm really proud of everyone doing it, no matter how old animals, kids, people are out there. And because of that revolutionary mindset that we need to change and make things better, we're really seeing difference little by little, but it's
Mm.
happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that reflection because, yes, all about us, all around us, are opportunities to serve and to volunteer and to give our talent, our time, and our treasure to. Whether it be, here at home for me in Nashville, and shout out to Hands on Nashville because we are community partners with them. That's how we recruit our volunteers to serve through their platform. And, whether it be, on the front lines of a Black Lives Matter protest. Uh, I just watched the interview with Gayle King this morning and Kenneth Walker, retelling the true part of the story around Breonna Taylor, and just reflected on, my desire for the day when, as a community, and more importantly, as a society, we can unite together and say, from that revolutionary perspective, that this isn't going to be allowed, that we've got to do something differently. And I hope that that day comes soon. Or if it's in Washington, D.C., right? In Congress, the servant um, sacrifice, really, that one has to take on to do the work of public service. And that work doesn't start in DC. We hear that every election season, right? It starts in our hometown. It starts in our local churches, our local schools, our local government is where true public service starts. And so among you young people on the call this morning are future servants, future volunteers, future public servants in the making. And I want you to hear that, to sit with it, to embrace it, and to go be that, because you are the generation that we need. I think many of us who live in this moment of time can probably reflect that at some point there was a disconnect societally, culturally, around what we taught or carried down from generation to generation. And I believe that with the desire to not continue to relive slavery, we missed an opportunity with my generation to build a generation of leaders that could be responsive in a moment like this. And so that is why we have so many of those underneath me, I'm 45 this week, who are leading the revolution, whether it be, again, in their local communities, their local organizations, that is their work environments, their school environments, their universities, or within national public service. So kudos to you. We cheer you on because the hope is that even in missed opportunities to teach and to raise a new generation of leaders, that you have been motivated by the need for a revolution. And so you're showing up, you're serving, you're volunteering in many facets of life, not in always the public discourse of politics and social justice, but even in things that matter to you in your everyday life, joining best buddies at your school and being the person standing in the gap for a student with a special need, or being the person who intervenes in a bullying situation to ensure the protection and safety emotionally, physically, and otherwise for someone else in your peer group. So service is indeed revolutionary. Service can change everything about the world. We see that quote often: be the change you want to see. Be the change you want to see. So for me, when I look at the letters, one, I'm going to change my R. So thank you, Debbie, for that. I had never even thought of revolutionary, but I'll share the one that I chose initially. For me, I chose 3 letters, right, to define or describe the importance of volunteerism for me. And I think that this is especially important to my story as you all hear it, reflect on it, and then take parts of it for yourselves. The first is the servant leadership. I believe that you cannot truly lead until you serve. And so in your service, you are building the skills without often even recognizing or knowing it, without often being intentional about it. When you serve, you are building skills that position you for leadership, which is why I say many of you leaders recognizing leaders, because of your service, because of your volunteerism, you will build the confidence, you will build the presentation skills, the speaking skills, all of those things, the strong work ethic, the teamwork skills, the negotiation skills, the ability to confront. All of those are skills that make up a strong leader. All of those are skills that are going to be important in leadership, but you must first serve. So at Play Like a Girl, I started the organization 16 years ago now, in 2004, and without being intentional, really. It grew out of a doctoral classroom project that I had undertaken for my PhD at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And it was, at that time, an organization squarely focused on obesity prevention, disease prevention among women and girls of color. And the community took the organization and truly embraced and ensured that it thrived, really. Even when I went with my career in a completely different direction. I started my career at CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta. I went back to school for my PhD, did cancer research, published, then went back to Georgia and ran their state cancer prevention and control program before ultimately becoming a professor at University of Georgia. And what I didn't realize when I started the work at Play Like a Girl was that that was truly my calling. That I was skilled to do a lot of other things, and I was doing and pursuing those things, and those things were important because I was developing the leadership skills, right, to be able to run a nonprofit and to do it successfully now for 16 years. But I've done this work without pay now, without compensation, without a paycheck, without a dollar in the bank. And I say that for the young folks out there, because true servanthood isn't always going to come with rich dividends. I don't accept a salary by choice because of how I wanted to position the organization. But I have given not only my 60 plus hours per week for 10 years, but I've also exhausted my savings. I've exhausted my retirement. That's above and beyond, right? But it's because I feel a calling to the work, which necessitates that I must serve. And part of my servant leadership posture is that of giving. I am a giver, I'm a natural giver. And I don't give to Play Like a Girl only, I give to myriad of other organizations right here in Nashville, as well as across the country, Charity Water being one, the YWCA and Girls Inc. being others, because I recognize that just like Play Like a Girl needs the support and help of individual friends and donors like myself, those organizations need me too. So servant leadership is, like, for me, a crystal clear, aligned value around the importance of
Thank you,
volunteer.
Dr. Kimberly, but we do have to move on to the next speaker.
Awesome.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Shanti Carter from Women of Integrity. Shanti created Women of Integrity to empower and educate women of all ages and in destiny. And they hold prom dresses drives, do dress giveaways, and makeovers every year.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you guys for having me on. So as you said, I'm Shantae Carter, founder of Women of Integrity, Inc. We have been around this year celebrating 10 years. So I'm excited about that. And Women of Integrity was created out of a need, a necessity. It was out of a time in my life going through some things, and I need to put the energy, there's a lot of negative energy, and channel it into something positive. So I tell people that Women of Integrity literally saved my life because it got me out of a dark place and helped me to use my pain and turn it into my power to help other women and young women. So with volunteerism, I think that it's crucial and essential to, not especially for nonprofits, especially to my organization, because that is what has helped our success and our longevity for the 10 years. You know, we're volunteer based. All of our members volunteer their time. And I think when you're looking at volunteers and why you want to get volunteers importance, you have to think about what does it offer to them? What are their benefits, right? So with that, I say for volunteers, it's kind of giving them the opportunity to be a part of something bigger than themselves, right? So then you have a sense of purpose. I believe in being intentional. So someone's volunteering, we know that they're being intentional with their time and purposeful. They're aligning themselves with something that may speak with their core values and what they believe in. So when someone's volunteering, I always try to, especially with Women of Integrity, make them feel like family, like we're family, because I appreciate that you took the time to be of service, because it's definitely about being of service. You know, we're service-based. I'm in a sorority. We're service-based. So I know about being of service. You know, when I was a kid, I was a candy striper. I'm a nurse by trade. So I'm in a service-based profession and being of service. But I feel you have to treat them like family. You have to kind of see, you know, and then look at what characteristics they have, what can they bring, and then let them utilize their skills, because this can help someone bring out a talent that they never knew they had, help them utilize their skills and bring that to the forefront. You know, for example, I have members who volunteer, but they're great with social media. And now they've become my social media manager. So I don't even have to touch our social media anymore, where in the beginning I was managing everything. So you can learn from your volunteers and you're giving them the opportunity to learn as well. And I think it also helps you to learn the leadership skills, networking, team building, working with a team, working with a group of other people from different backgrounds, learning time management, and all these things it provides you when you're talking about volunteerism and what do you gain from it or what's the benefits. And when I say also going back to like treating people like family, with my volunteers, I feel like people want to be recognized for the work that they do. So I think that you should recognize them. So one of the things that I try to implement is that everyone gets a thank you letter, whether it's they're there in person, they're getting their thank you letter and certificate, or we emailing it to them, because people want to know that the time that they spent giving back was, you know, made an impact. They want to feel like, you know, I've made a dent in what you're doing. And so I think they need to be appreciated. And I find that has been well received when you do that. A lot of times people say, oh my God, I've never even gotten a letter, or, you know, like, thank you so much. And then I think that helps them to want to come back, because I believe it's also about the experience that you create for them during that event or program that they're volunteering. It's whatever they feel, their experience. And I'm a big on about creating the experience. So when you make them have an experience that makes them feel like they can connect and they can empathize and it's like, I want to do this again, then it's really like, it's more memorable, right? So it's more memorable, it makes them want to come back, and then they kind of get, and then they see your vision. And for me, that has helped with transforming volunteers into actual members, because they saw the work that we did and they were like, I really like this. So volunteerism is crucial, because I think that when you're able to give back, I think giving back is one of the greatest rewards in life. So if you're in a position to give back, you should. And if you can volunteer, be of service to an organization, if you don't know where to start, you can look up local organizations or volunteer with your church, volunteer in a hospital, but definitely helps make you a more well-rounded person. And I think especially for you young people going off to college, or if you're in high school, these are some of the things that the colleges look for to kind of see, not all just about the grades. Are you a well-rounded individual? What else have you done to make them know, to try to figure out who you are as a person and how would you fit going into their, their university, or, so I think that it's something that if you're not doing, you should, because it definitely will teach you your speaking skills, your leadership skills, time management, networking. I think it's just very important to be intentional and being strategic in what you're aligning yourself with.
Thank you so much, Dr. Carter. Christina, next volunteer, please.
Thank you. Next, we'll be introducing AT Branch, which is AmeriCorps. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. A service member in the position of volunteer engagement leader for Hands on Nashville. AT Branch is a West Point graduate, former U.S. Army captain, has volunteered with Kansas State Wildlife/Young Life chapter as a male ambassador for End Slavery Tennessee, and was a tutor with Nashville's Water Walkers.
Oh man, thank you so much. I'm super honored that Leaders Recognizing Leaders invited me for this panel to focus on one of my favorite topics, volunteerism. I'll just talk a little bit more about Hands on Nashville. We're a nonprofit that focuses on meeting community needs through volunteerism, which is a grant-worthy way of saying people come to us to figure out how they can help out in our city and surrounding areas. We partner, as Dr. Kim mentioned, with over 200 community partners or community-focused nonprofits, and we promote their volunteer needs and opportunities on our website, and we support in other ways, but I'll get to that later. I just want to point out, hands-on isn't exclusive to Nashville. They're hands-on across the US in Miami, San Diego, Atlanta, Sacramento, Texarkana, Phoenix, Twin Cities. And similarly, there is New York Cares, Chicago Cares, Jersey Cares, Boston Cares. And if there's not an organization like that in your area, maybe there's an opportunity for you to start one. So people come to us because they want to help, or they need community service hours, or because they're bored, or name a reason. But whatever reason one is led to consider volunteering, I want to give you some good reasons for why you actually should. But before that, I'm going to tell you a quick story. Back in high school, when I still had crooked teeth and was about 50 pounds lighter, I know the glow up is real. I started volunteering at the Boys and Girls Club in my town. I thought, I'm a good student and I need extracurricular activities. Why not help these kids out a couple days a week? It also kept me from being at my farm with my dad, who wanted me to build chicken coops or whatever obnoxious project he had, and to ask me and not my brother to do. But anyway, I remember the kids, they were playing basketball, and whatever games to pass the time, we'd have tutoring, and then about by 5:30 they were gone. Well, there's always this one kid who was the last one to leave. And I remember one day his mom was like, likely coming from her second job, "What did you learn today?" And he said, "I learned about space. I want to be an astronaut." And she basically told him his dad works for a factory. She was working two jobs, and where they lived or where they're from, that wasn't likely an opportunity for him. And I can't tell you how that affected me. My parents don't always like my dreams, but they've never crushed them like that. And I made it my mission to leave that town and show kids from there that they can be anything they want to. You see, I thought I was volunteering to help people, but volunteering helped and has changed me and given me direction and a new set of dreams. And I can almost promise you, when you get the chance to serve others, you really end up benefiting too. So here are some good reasons why you should volunteer. And I think Shantae mentioned a couple of these too, so I'm really pumped to kind of piggyback on some of those. So one is good for your health. According to a study by the Mayo Clinic, Volunteering can enhance a person's social networks to buffer stress and reduce risk of disease. Now note, most of our community partners have socially distant or virtual volunteering opportunities, so you don't have an excuse. By savoring time spent in service to others, you'll feel a sense of meaning and appreciation, both given and received, which can have stress reducing effects. Two, it's a great opportunity to network. Maybe you're interested in working in a nonprofit one day, you want to learn what that's like. In Nashville at least, we've got opportunities that connect with volunteers that range from clergy to corporate leaders. Three, you can make new friends. There's so many areas you can volunteer in. You can help with seniors, with gardening, animals, tutoring, providing meals to people in need, park cleanup. And likely, if you have a passion for those areas, the people there volunteering do too. Hashtag common interest. And they're real and they have faces and they're usually nice, unlike the internet trolls on social media. I'm just saying. Dating. Look, I have a rule. If we can't travel or volunteer well together, we are not going to be happily ever after. Volunteering is a great date idea to either bond and enjoy serving together or, weed out the bad ones. And finally, it's good for the community. Volunteers keep the organizations that are doing the hard but good work of meeting our people's needs afloat. A lot of times organizations have limited personnel, but a big workload, and they lack the money or resources to hire staff to support that. So according to the independent sector, for Tennessee, that's the state I'm in, so that's the only one I can talk about. In 2019, each hour of volunteer service saved a nonprofit $23.50 per volunteer. So putting that into perspective, if 50 volunteers just gave 2 hours of their time to their choice community-focused nonprofit, that's like donating $2,350 to that organization that really needs the help. So I know this is a youth conference and it's a leadership conference, so I wanted to discuss volunteerism and hands-on Nashville from the scope of servant leadership, kind of like Dr. Kim was talking about. I'll try to be real quick. This past March, Nashville had a really bad set of tornadoes, leaving 700,000 people without power, causing 1.6 billion in damage. Parts of our city were devastated, but the response from the people near and far was astounding. At one point, there were 30,000 volunteers that we recorded across the city, and there were probably plenty more, hoping to help with debris cleanup. They sawed down trees, they were tarping people's roofs, they were giving people food and water, and it was amazing stuff. People didn't wait to be asked. They just stepped up. And it was the volunteer effort and spirit that really saved our city. But everything wasn't smooth sailing. Like even when you have a mission like ours to serve, it still takes leadership to do that well. And the best leaders, or so I think, are those that can evaluate themselves and their organization for how they can do their mission and make their team better. So we learned from that experience. And I think some of the 3 points that we came up with are good for young or more matured leaders to discuss with your peers and team. So number one, perguntas. I was a Portuguese major, so I figured since it's a global conference, that would be allowed here. But perguntas is questions. We had to ask ourselves tough questions. Who are we as an organization? Particularly, what do we do well? Like in a disaster, so many people want to help. So many people have needs, and we helpers, we want to solve all the problems. But we found ourselves trying to solve problems that were best figured out by another nonprofit, not us. But we're good at managing volunteers. We're good at communicating with our partners and figuring out their needs. And we're the go-between between them and resources. We also had to clarify what the city needed from us. And so we could evaluate our capabilities and we could give follow-up about what we couldn't do, because you can't do everything. So we didn't shy away from this because we knew that pride is not a norm we want in our culture. And we came to understand that you can do good, but still risk not doing the most good when you fail to acknowledge your niche, your specialty, and actually make changes to your plan, which leads to number two, preparation. When I was in the Army, we had a very popular moniker that prior planning prior planning prevents blank poor performance. I'll let you fill in the blank with alliteration. As leaders, we serve our community and they deserve our best. And we can only give them that when we've done our homework and figured out a plan. We learned from a tornado response that we had a plan from disaster, but we hadn't used it since 2010. So leaders adapt and figure out solutions, but we also had to learn that we needed a revised plan focusing on our strength for future events to alleviate the headache of figuring things out on the fly. We also realized that part of that preparation meant that we have to do more collaboration, which means, leads to my third and final point, participation and people. We didn't just evaluate what we do internally, we had to evaluate who was on the left and the right and determine how we fit in with the overall plan. So part of being servant leaders meant humbly reminding ourselves that we definitely aren't the only do-gooders out there. And we could benefit from forming better relationships with local churches, emergency response, and other nonprofits that might not even be our direct partners. On that note, we also learned that our specific mission still required help. We got a small staff just like most nonprofits. So we had some very eager volunteers. So we've been working to develop a super volunteer program to really help them be more incorporated and feel like part of our family and be an extension of us outside. So ask for Guntish of yourself and others to ensure you're on the right path with you and your organization. Have a clear plan and objective for how you want to serve your constituents well, being prepared to adapt, and never think you're above collaborating and help from other people and entities. When we all participate, we elevate ourselves and our communities. And thanks so much for letting me be here with y'all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Branch. Okay, our next volunteer, all the way from the LRL Georgia chapter, Veronica. She'll be introducing our next couple speakers.
Hi, I'm Veronica. I'm 19. I am a sophomore at Kennesaw State University, and I will be introducing Sari Mbatsky, Executive Vice President of Feeding South Florida. From New York, Sari came to Florida for her higher education, earning a master at FAU. She now serves as the Executive Vice President of Feeding South Florida and has earned many awards, including the People's Choice Award, Top Mover, and Shaker.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having us. This is such a great opportunity to be here with all of you this morning. Was definitely motivated by Mr. Branch's presentation. Thank you, sir, for your service. Also, everyone that's really spoken before me kind of did my work for me in terms of sharing why volunteerism is so important. So without being too repetitive, really just want to talk a little bit about what Feeding South Florida is. We are a member of the Feeding America network of food banks. We are one of 200 throughout the United States, and we do have the privilege of partnering closely with Hands On Connect Miami. In fact, we use their volunteer web portal platform. Prior to the COVID pandemic, Feeding South Florida was providing about 61 million pounds of food to about 700,000 food insecure individuals. And unfortunately, given the state that we're currently in, we had to double that output. So we went from 61 million pounds to about 119 million pounds distributed just this past fiscal year. And we are now serving more than 1.5 individuals. South Florida is the 8th largest metropolitan area in the United States. And what is a key backbone of our organization are volunteers. So prior to the pandemic, we relied on the support of about 32,000 volunteers annually. And that's just throughout Southeast Florida, Palm Beach down to the Keys. And right now we are relying on the support of nearly 50,000 volunteers a year. They are the lifeblood of our organization. We could not do what we do without them. To Mr. Branch's point, we only have 80 employees, and the rest of our work helping distribute 119 million pounds of food is all because of volunteers. We've seen people obviously practice social distancing, wearing masks. And what really stood out to us was the heart and spirit of the community, that didn't deter anybody from coming out. And people have made lifelong friendships through meeting each other at the food bank. Feeding South Florida has a youth ambassador program where kids age 5 all the way through college, 22, can volunteer and be student leaders. The whole idea is to create awareness about the issue of hunger and poverty in their schools, and it provides a leadership role, not only helping at the food bank package food and prepare food, but also taking that leadership role in their schools and in their communities, learning speaker skills. We had a 3rd grader that helped win a project for her school. She had to pitch it to the principal. So I know that you guys are obviously a little older than that, but the whole idea is that it's never too late or too early to start at any age. I actually first got involved with food banking when I was 10 years old. My family and I moved from New York down to South Florida right before Hurricane Andrew. And we caravanned with our organization down to the Miami area to help provide canned goods and water. And that experience always stuck with me. And so the feeling that you have when you volunteer is incredibly important. But again, as our other speakers shared, the whole idea is that you impact others and they'll impact you. And so we have found that to be particularly true. There's nothing greater than giving of your time and your heart. And for us, we believe that food is at the basic of everything, right? Food is culture. Food is home. Whether you think about a sad occasion or a happy occasion, it's always revolved around food. And one of the most critical things for us that we share and focus on, particularly, we believe it's our responsibility to bring the community together in this way, is the fact that although there's different cultures and different recipes and different histories and different spice preferences, we all have food in common. And it is a way to bring people together. So we truly believe that through food comes understanding, and we can share our collective experience through recipes or cooking with our grandparents. And so volunteering, food, it's a commonality, it's a way to connect and better understand each other. So people that you may think you have nothing in common with, it is a bridge, it is a gateway for conversation that allows different folks to come together and learn about one another. So I would challenge you all to think about volunteering in that way, in that it is an opportunity to create an additional understanding between communities and folks that may not otherwise interact. So thank you all for your time and allowing us to speak and your participation in this conference.
Thank you. The next speaker I will be introducing is Kayla Primes, Valor CLE. In 2015, Kayla created the nonprofit Valor, which empowers teens and young adults to always strive for greatness and give back to the community. In addition, she also serves as a legislative staffer on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., and a contributor for Hip Politics News.
Good morning, everybody. So just with being the fifth speaker, everybody kind of has touched on like the importance of volunteerism and why that we all should engage in it, to create a better world. So just having my own nonprofit and also working with nonprofits for years now, I get to work with like different types of people. So I'll never forget this story. We were at a retirement home, and there was a resident. He was speaking to one of the members, and he was like, do you know like the similarity between like volunteerism and wetting your pants? So my member, she was like looking at him like, what is he about to say? Because if you guys have volunteered at retirement homes, you never know what's about to come out their mouths. So he was like, everybody could see it, but only you get that warm feeling, right? So that's something that kind of stuck with me, and that kind of helped me figure out about how I wanted to start my nonprofit Valor. So just having that warm feeling, it can help you motivate and encourage other people to understand, the importance of volunteerism. So the story of Valor, how it came about, is I was 19 years old, and I went to Howard University here in Washington, D.C., where I currently reside. And I went back home to Cleveland, Ohio, where I'm from, and it was winter break, or summer break, actually. And I was like, talking to my friends, like, why don't we just go feed the homeless downtown? Like, we're not really doing anything. None of us had jobs at the time. We were trying to like figure out what our jobs are going to be. So I invited like 5 friends come downtown. We had packed some lunches at my house, played music. It was fun. We went downtown and we just started posting it on social media. Never knew that it would go like quote unquote viral on Cleveland Twitter. We had over like 1,000 retweets, 200 likes, and people are just emailing me like, when are you doing this next? When are you doing this next? Not knowing that I just started a whole entire movement within the city of Cleveland. So I was like, I don't know. So we kept trying to figure out of what we're going to do next. So then probably like maybe 2 weeks later, I had about 20 members. And then a month later, I had 35 members. And we decided that we were going to, every winter break and summer break, we were going to dedicate a week to just doing service in our community. So each day was dedicated to a different particular topic, right? So Monday would be about, tutoring youth within the city of Cleveland. Tuesday would be talking to kids in the juvenile detention center. Wednesday would be, throwing a party at the homeless shelter for the children, and then have resume building workshops for the parents. So something that I found out is that we were figuring out creative ways on how to give back, right? So we started with doing feeding the homeless, then we got all the way to having parties at homeless shelters that ultimately led to us having service, talking to the Cleveland Cavaliers about how to do service and partnering with them later on 5 years down the line. So the cool things that I would say about volunteerism is that, there's no minimum age to start volunteering. My parents implemented me in like a very early age, the importance of volunteering. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go to a juvenile detention center, is because my parents, every like winter break when I was younger, we would go speak to the kids at the juvenile detention center. And we will also, dedicate our holidays to feeding the homeless as well. So there's no age requirement, right? Also, when I started my nonprofit, like I said, I was 19 years old. And a lot of people, they did doubt me in a sense of, are you sure you know how to handle a nonprofit, things of that nature. And in regards to me developing the 501c3, I literally had a pro bono attorney, right? So these things truly can be done with a minimum cost at that. And now we're almost hitting 5 years. We have over 150 members, 4 different chapters, and I'm only 24 years old, right? So anything can be done if you truly put your mind to it. The second thing is that you don't have to do like the quote unquote typical service. A lot of people think that you have to either just feed the homeless, or you have to, go to a retirement home, things of that nature. But if you truly have a lot of, creative minds, you can figure out different cool ways on how to give back. Like I said, that our last service was in the winter, and we were speaking with the Cleveland, like the players of the Cleveland Cavaliers about, how they could volunteer. We ended up having like a networking event with them as well. So there's no one way on how to, volunteer. And then lastly, it only could lead to a better world. There's no negative effects that volunteerism has. It's only going to just be positive. So those are just really the 3 cool facts I have about volunteerism, and some things that I have been doing. And it's not only based in Cleveland, Ohio. It is based in Cincinnati. It is based in the DC area, the DMV area. We have a teen chapter in Cleveland as well. And like Mr. Branch was saying, like if you feel like this is something that you would like to engage in, be sure to contact me. We have a relaunching of our website, but I can give you our Instagram, which is Valor, VALOR, Cle, CLE. And then my personal email, in which you guys have any questions in regards to how to start a 501c3, how to get a pro bono attorney, how to have low cost, just if you want to create your own nonprofit, if you have any ideas, if you want to be on Capitol Hill, any questions possible, I am always open to answer them. And my email address is KAY, the letter J, primes@gmail.com. And then you guys can also follow me on Instagram at @I'mJust_KP. And once again, thank you for having me today. It's truly an honor to be among some phenomenal, young leaders, and just hearing some keys about the people who were before me. Thank you for that. And there is no minimum age requirement to start a nonprofit. And like people were hitting on, it's definitely great benefits to your health. And I look forward to seeing you guys more on the front lines, and just keep pushing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Primes. Okay, our next volunteer all the way in Pennsylvania, Ms. Jen, you're up.
Hello, hi everyone. Hi Debbie, and hi. I want to just say thank you first of all to everyone. It's a pleasure to be a part of this organization. Thank you to Edwina for putting this together, for having me, and thank you to Debbie for bringing everyone together this morning. And it is my pleasure to introduce our next topic for today's conference. And that's part 2 of our talk on entrepreneurship, leadership, and career opportunities. And we have 3 wonderful speakers who are here to share and inspire us this morning. Our first speaker is Samantha Caballero, and Samantha is the business owner of Swim with Sam and Startup with Sam. Samantha is a Miami native and Florida International University alumni. Samantha is an entrepreneur with her mobile swim business, Swim with Sam, that provides at-home swim lessons for communities of colors. Sam also consults with aspiring business owners on how to launch their own business through her company, Startup with Sam. Samantha, thank you for being here today. It's a pleasure to have you. Yeah, thanks for sharing this topic with us today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Hi, everyone. My name is Samantha. Everyone calls me Sam. I'm known as the swim instructor, and I've actually been teaching swim lessons for over 10 years. And I recognized that there was an opportunity for me to go ahead and start a business. And I did. It really wasn't something that I planned. It just kind of happened. And from that experience of starting a business unplanned with no background, no family history in starting a business, I just decided to jump into it. And it taught me so much about myself, what I wanted, what I wasn't good at, or what I am good at, and really what do I desire in my life. That actually inspired me to start my second business called Startup with Sam, where I teach people just like me, how do I actually launch a business and do well? And I'm trying to teach them, how to make just a few less mistakes. There's always that concept of failing forward. And I realized, I was like, you know what, maybe we don't have to fail the whole 100 times so the 101 finally works. Maybe we can just do 50. So that's kind of my goal of teaching people who have no experience to do what I do and in your field and what your passions are. So one thing that really helped me to jumpstart my business, to provide content, do this teaching, and really focus on entrepreneurship was that I know how to speak. I've been speaking for years. Ever since I can remember that I could talk, I've been talking with people and leading conversations. But I realized that lots of people are very uncomfortable speaking. Lots of people are very uncomfortable being the face and having to stand up in the crowd. Sometimes even just having one-on-one conversations and answering questions, we have a really difficult time of being concise. And so my goal is to teach people how to be better speakers. How can I help them to be more comfortable? How can I help them to be powerful speakers as well? Because you don't have to be the best speaker. I speak very fast still. I stutter, I make mistakes. Sometimes I go off on like a tangent. I'm like, let me get back. But I always hear that, wow, Sam, you speak so well. And I realize it's maybe not that I'm the best technical speaker, but I speak with emotion. I'm able to be passionate, and my nonverbal communication connects with people, and I'm authentic, and that really helps people to understand where I'm coming from. So my goal is to teach people how to do that, because everyone wants to be this very professional, very stiff speaker, and especially young people. When we're trying to be professional, we're graduating from high school, we're transitioning to college, or we're trying to get a job, they look very stiff. And while you may be speaking very well as an orator, your nonverbal communication, how you command the room, is not really there. And that's so important for you, especially if you want to start a business. You have to command the room. You have to make people want to listen to you, because the reality is sometimes we think of a business of finally working for ourselves and being free and doing whatever we want. But the real basis of starting a business is, can I make a stranger trust me enough to give me their credit card number? And that's something we don't think about. Like, that's a really important amount of trust that you have to give. And I have to do that all with my face, all with the words that I'm saying, my nonverbal communication, it has to be there. And so I kind of want to talk a little bit about how we speak today, about your elevator pitch, about how you sell yourself. And really, if you want to promote yourself, there's a platform for you to do it, and it's right where you already started. So a lot of people sometimes consider themselves bad speakers because they're nervous, but I don't think that's true. It's okay to be nervous. I'm nervous every day I speak, every time I record content. I was a little bit nervous coming on today because I'm human, but I don't allow my nervousness to transition into fear. Fear is what allows you to mess up. Fear is what allows you to second guess yourself, but you have to be confident in what you're saying, even if you're nervous. You're just inexperienced, and that's okay. I kind of want to jump into our elevator pitch. And some people don't know what that is, but the elevator pitch is basically how can I talk about what I do with a product and service that I sell as if we were in an elevator and you happen to come in. We have about 30 seconds just together, and someone says, well, what do you do for work? And you have to very clearly and concisely say it. When I mean less than 30 seconds, you really do have less than 30 seconds. Sometimes when I speak with people who are doing consulting with me, and I ask them, tell me about your business, they spend 3 minutes explaining what they do. And I'm able to break that down until about 6 words. I'm like, is this what you do? And they go, yeah, that's it. I'm like, okay. You want to be able to be a little bit more concise because it makes your information so much more digestible. It makes people more interested in you. And you sound powerful. You sound like you're in control. You sound like the expert. And people want experts. People want to buy from experts and learn from experts. All of you here obviously have dreams, you have goals, you have expertise, you have a passion. People are interested in you, or you want to do something interesting. Sell that, work it, let them know what you do. So if you aren't writing something down, I want you to write this down. These are a couple of questions when you're thinking about an elevator pitch. How do I tell people, what do I do? Even if I don't have a business, just what am I interested in? You want to tell them who you are. Now let them know you're a high school graduate. Let them know you're a college graduate. Let them know you're a junior or a senior. Let them know you're someone who is about to start a business, or you have this nonprofit idea. Tell them, what do you do specifically? Be straight up with, this is what I do. I sell this. I provide this. I teach this. Tell them what the problem is. Say, I provide tutoring because I recognize that kids between the age of 10 to 16 have lower test scores in this area. So my goal is to help to educate them so that they can be successful in this area. It's very specific. The next one is, how do you solve it? How is your specific service or product like solving that problem? What are you doing to fix it? And the last one is, why do you do it? And that's my watch. And that's how you sell it. People want to know why, like what makes you so passionate about your field. I know I'm passionate about teaching entrepreneurs and really aspiring entrepreneurs because I know what it's like to struggle when you first start and feel so lost and think, why am I doing this? That's a real question. Like, why am I sitting here working so hard? It's stressful, So there's an opportunity there, and I really, really want you guys to take advantage of it. And for those of you who may not think about starting a business, that same concept of an elevator pitch will work for your interview. And some people really struggle with interviewing, but you can do it, I promise. Interviewing is really easy. And it's the same way that we talk on an elevator pitch. You have to command the room. You command the interview. They're there to learn from you. Even when I hold interviews for swim instructors in Miami, when I get on the phone with them or I'm on a Zoom call, I'm just waiting for them to wow me. I'm interested in them and wanting to learn from them. So tell them about yourself. And there's 3 things you want to remember about when you go into an interview. Know your audience. Like, know exactly who are you talking to? What is their position? What are they looking for? Why are they interested? And also know the specifics of the job. Not just, what are the 8 requirements that they have, but there's always a little bit extra, right? They always say, anything that falls under the job description, what will truly make you excellent in this field. Show them how you feel those things, how you are the expert, how you will help to make not only them money, but help to improve the customer experience, help to improve company culture. Those are soft skills that people are looking for. And also what problems do they really have? Sometimes they have positions open, but they don't tell you like, hey, we're really having this issue in this area and we need help. Try to figure out what their problem is. Be that go-getter that they're looking for, right? Because they're interested, trust me, and they want you. You just have to sell yourself. And for anyone my last point is when it comes to, I see a question here is, how do you practice elevator pitches? I'm going to get into practice at the end, I promise. I'm almost done. I just want to get into self-promotion really quickly, that if you're going for a job or if you are trying to start a business, do remember that they can see everything you do. They find your Instagram pages, they do find your Facebook pages. I know, because I look for people who interview with me, they're seeing what you do, right? So remember, your platform is really where you flourish, or people are going to find you, where they're going to learn about you before they even meet you. So think about what you put out there. And I'm not talking about anything inappropriate, but just remember that whatever you're putting as your face on your social media, on whatever platform, even if it's your LinkedIn, that's what they're going to know about you when you walk in the door. They're going to have a preconceived notion about you. Why not make it a good one, right? You all here have dreams. Again, you want to do something big. Show them that. Show them what you're passionate about. Show them the goals that you have. Tell them about your skills and your hobbies in your social media. You know, if you dance because you want to teach kids to dance, show them that you're practicing. Show them that you're working on these projects. Show them that you're a writer, that you're a poet. Why do I have to find out about this afterwards? Why do I have to wait until hopefully we get into that kind of conversation? Tell them immediately. They should be able to look into your social media, your TikTok, your Facebook, your Instagram, your Snapchat, anything they find of you. They should be able to see, wow, this person is amazing. I can really see how other people want to learn from them. I see how they develop them. They should be inspired and want to follow you just because they find you that fascinating. You can do that, I promise. And it makes a really big difference, you know, sometimes just in the caption, just a small tip. If in the caption or in the bio of your platforms, you just say like what your expertise are or what you're passionate about, what your goals are, you'd be surprised how it makes people want to learn a little bit more about you. So my tips for anyone who wants to be a better speaker, who wants to, you know, really thrive with those job interviews, who wants to thrive in whatever your social platform is, whether you want to do YouTube, you want to do TikTok, you want to do Instagram, is to put yourself out there, to truly try. And to answer that question that someone asked before, is to practice. Being a better speaker, being more engaged, trying to help and educate people is all about practice. I remember giving a speech in kindergarten about animals and talking about something about like the blood system in animals. And I remember I told them that all animals have red blood because of red blood cells, except for like ogres who have green blood, because that's what I thought in Shrek, right? But I remember giving a speech about that in kindergarten. And I've been talking since kindergarten, but I never stopped trying. So even if that means just recording yourself in your room, just speaking and just looking at it and saying, how can I look less awkward? Or where was I missing something? Showing it to your parents, showing it to your friends, showing it to your teachers and your professors. They're there to help you succeed, to your mentors, to people who inspire you. Let them help you. Use your resources. We volunteer, we connect, and we network for a reason, but you have to use your resources, guys. If you're not connecting with people, even the speakers here today, get our information, use it, because we want to see you succeed. And we believe in you. Mirrors and selfie videos definitely do work. So I commend, anyone who has a platform, who is trying to sell a product, sell a service, volunteer, who is trying to network and just connect with people who have a nonprofit, or just any idea to just share inspiration. I commend you. Continue to do it, continue to practice. And if you guys ever need help in any project that you're working on with just speaking, with creating anything, please feel free to contact me. My email, first you can find me on Instagram. My personal page is push_Sammy, SAMMY. And on my page, I always am sharing videos about business. I do a series every week called Date Night on my IG Live, where it's an expose about the emotional, mental, and spiritual battles that entrepreneurs go through that no one tells you about. We talk about some real stuff. Like I'm giving you some secret gems. But also, my business Startup with Sam, where I provide consulting to help you launch your business, your nonprofit, whatever you like. You're always free to email me, DM me. My email is sc.caballero22@gmail. Feel free to contact me, guys. I'm here to see you succeed. And if you have any more questions, I'm always available.
Thank you, Samantha. Thank you so much. You can tell you put your heart into what you do, and it's empowering to see you and all of your work. You've made your dreams a reality. So thanks so much. Our next speaker today, Jens Urban, with trade, finance, and business investor. Mr. Urban is the founder of Trade House Europe, an investor, a Forex trader, a mentor, and an entrepreneur. Mr. Urban, we are pleased you could be with us this morning to speak to us.
Hi there, welcome everyone. Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me good or not. Yeah, all right, thanks. My name is Jens Urbain indeed. I'm from Belgium, Europe. I'm an online business owner and I'm also a Forex trader. So that's what I'm going to talk to. I'm not going to take too much time because I know we're on a tight schedule to explain who I am and what I did. I do want to go over two things today. That's first of all, financial literacy. And second of all, is your goals and why you should work towards your goals and how you can achieve your goals and actually what the purpose is of setting goals. I hope I have a whiteboard here on the back. I just wanted to have a check if you can read it or not. Do I have to put it closer? Can you read it?
I can see it. There's a bit of a glare, but I can see just fine.
All right, maybe I'm going to, yeah. If I explain something, I always use the whiteboard, so I'm going to put this away. And I'm just going to take this a little bit closer. Maybe that will be better for you guys.
Yes, closer. Thank you.
This is better, right? So yeah, I did do some things already. First of all, I'm going to talk about financial literacy, but people say financial literacy, it's like, yeah, it's a nice word, but actually it just comes down to learning how money works. And it's like, we all know what things about money. We buy stuff with money. We have to work for our money. We're getting paid to do a certain job and stuff like that. So we know that we need money in our life as well. But that's not a thing that's making us happy, because a lot of people try to say like, hey, if I would have a lot of money, I would be more happy. Most of the time, that's not the case, but it does help a lot of people. But one thing that I do want to advise people that have never read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad to read it, because for me, that was the first time I got involved in learning what money is actually about and actually how to learn to become more of, yeah, financially free, if I can say it like that. It's because of the book Rich Dad Poor Dad from Robert Kiyosaki. I'm not a good book reader. I'm probably the worst book reader you've ever seen. But that one book I did read. When I went to school, I didn't read any books. I didn't do a lot at school. But I was like, this book really got my interest because it goes about a quadrant. And the cash flow quadrant, I did write it out a little bit over here. I'm going to take just a little bit of time to explain it. Like, we have four sides of a quadrant. You have, like, on the left side, you see the employees and the self-employed people. Now, those people, they're all people that have to exchange their time for money. So they have to do a certain job or do something before they're getting paid for that. If you're an employee, for example, you have to go to work, you have to be a certain hours at work, and then you're getting paid for that work that you do over there. A self-employed person is, for example, somebody who's like an electrician. He or she can also be a female electrician, of course. He or she also has to do a certain job for a customer, and he or she's getting paid for that. But the thing is, in our life, in the world, actually, we have 95% of people who are sitting over here, but there's only 5% of the world's capital. And that's actually, yeah, it's too bad because everybody deserves to have a little bit more in life, in my opinion. But yet 95% of people, they own 5% of the world's capital. And that's because they only have an active source of income or a linear income, still exchanging their time for money. And that's what the book Rich Dad Poor Dad also explains. Now, on the right side, you have people who are business owners and investors. Business owners, they are people that have a certain system that works for them. So let's say, for example, for the people that know Jeff Bezos, if you don't know him, this guy from Amazon, he has a certain system that works for him. What does that mean? It means that he doesn't have to physically exchange his time for money, but he can still make money. So it's a system. He actually has a non-active or a non-linear income, has a passive income from that. And then you have the investor side. Investors are just people who learn how to let money work for them. Like, for example, if you know how to invest in good stuff, and you never know for sure, of course, because investing also comes with a risk. But if you know how to invest in the good stuff and you know how to let money work for you, then you also have a non-linear or a passive income. Now, when I first heard about this, I had no idea how to go to the right side because I had a normal job. I worked in the weekends. I actually worked 7 days out of 7. I did a lot of hours. They paid me good for that, but I didn't have any time to spend my money. It was really like, hey, I do work a lot. So I was very interested in knowing how to get over to that side. I tried a lot of things. I'm not going to lie. I lost a lot of money when I tried a lot of things. I tried to open my own gym. That didn't work out so good. So that's where I lost a lot of money. I learned a lot from that, but I lost a lot of money on that as well because, hey, I need to find something where I can have a little bit more time and money to live a more free life. And that's when we come to the right side. Now, what was for me personally the breakthrough where I got to that side was when I learned how to trade Forex. And if you ever want to look something up about Forex, one piece of advice, don't trust everything you see on social media. We have too many gurus these days, too many people that are selling something that doesn't work, too many. If somebody messages you like, hey, you can make this amount of money in that period of time, if you only invest $500, for example, don't do that, because those are a lot of times you're getting fooled by them. Also, don't trust any profiles that you see that are like me, because I only have one social media profile, for example. But it's like, don't trust everything that you see, just look it up. Now, why did I want to go to that side? Because I saw there was only 5% of the world's population, but they had 95% of the capital. And it's not because of the money only, it was because of the freedom. I wanted to have a life where I could have money and have time to do whatever I wanted to do, whenever I wanted to do it. And is this possible just by thinking about it and saying, hey, I'm going to become a business owner or I'm going to become an investor? No, you have to put in time and effort as well, because nothing in life, nothing is for free. You always have to put in something, time, money, energy. You have to put in something to learn. And that's just briefly about financial literacy and the cash flow quadrant. I do want to advise you, for the people that haven't read the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. It is really an eye opener, and it's very interesting if you want to know more about, actually learning how to let money work for you instead of always going to work for money. Now, the next thing that I want to go over, and that's right over here, these are your goals. And you have to write down your goals. I have never written down my goals until lately. I think it was about a few months ago. They're on the back. If you don't believe me, I'll just flip it over. There you go. Here are my personal goals. So I do have them written down. So I'm just going to turn it again so you guys see I'm not lying or something. But you have your goals who are all the way on top of here, and you have to start. But if you want to become an entrepreneur or something, you have to take that step. Start. Because we're all starting from the same position. Every single person that is an entrepreneur starts over here. And this is like zero. You don't have anything yet. You have to build it up. But the way to get to your goal, and now you see there's a goal right over here, for example, but your goal will always evolve. You always have different goals. You have to set different goals as well. You have to have short-term goals, mid-term goals, and long-term goals, of course. And when you hit your ultimate goal, like people say, you will probably already have another goal. So your ultimate goal might be right out and over here. And you will always set new goals. But the thing is, you will have a lot of setbacks as well, especially if you are an entrepreneur or want to become an entrepreneur or want to do something else in life where you need to get to a certain level and you're not there yet. You will have setbacks. Your journey, whatever journey you will be going on, if it's becoming an entrepreneur or becoming an athlete or doing something else, it doesn't matter. The journey that you're going to go will go like this. It will go with ups and downs. And then when you hit a certain level, it might drop a little bit more to that level. But that's the thing. That's when it gets most difficult. And that's when you will see, hey, you're going up, you're moving up, you will have a setback. But what will you do when you get to that point? Will you say, hey, I'm done? This is nothing for me? Trust me, I've said, I think more than 20 or 30 times, I'm done with this. This is nothing for me. This is not bringing me happiness, and this is not bringing me the success that I was looking for. So I thought to myself, well, hey, I'm done with this. But all of a sudden, something else in my mind, and I'm glad that it did, it's like, hey, why would you quit now? Remember, you started over here. You're still over here. Yes, you had a setback. You're coming from a higher point right over here. You had that setback, but you're still better than you were when you started over here. And that's the thing. We all start from scratch. Every single person starts from scratch. You have to build it up yourself. But what's the reason what happens over here? Then you have two choices. Or you say like, hey, I'm done, and you're going back to where you got started. Or say, hey, I'm going to crawl back up and I'm going to go up towards your ultimate goal right over here. But one thing that is also very important in setting goals and working towards your goals is celebrating when you hit a goal. You will have different goals. You have like level 1 goals, for example. You have like level 2 goals, level 3 goals. But when you hit a certain level, when you are here, make sure to celebrate it. Take some time off, do some fun stuff, whatever you like to do. Celebrate the goals that you achieve. If you're having a team where you work together with and you have a certain goal for your company or for whatever you want, and you hit that goal, make sure that your team celebrates it as well. Go and do something fun with those people. They have to feel involved. If you run a business and that business has other people in it as well, make sure that you celebrate the fun stuff as well. You will have setbacks, you will have different times, and you will have to fight through those. But once you know how to fight through those and you achieve certain levels of success and you achieve certain things, I can only say one thing, and I truly speak from the heart. It's so fun to hit a goal and to celebrate it. These will be your worst points. I can promise you that as well. These will be your worst points. You will say, okay, I'm done. This is nothing for me. Take a few minutes off, take a few hours off, take a few days off. It doesn't matter, but just take some time off, reflect on what happened, reflect on where you came from and where you want to go. And one thing that I did learn in my career, if you could say, I don't like to say career or stuff because I don't feel like I'm already at where I want to be. But one thing that I did learn is like, why do you do this? That's very important. That's the only reason why I kept going. That's your why. Oh, sorry, it's not so nice. Why? This right over here, your why, that's the most important thing. That's the most important thing why people keep going. When I was over here, and trust me, it isn't so long ago that I had a huge setback in my trading career. So I was like, hey, I'm now over here. I hit those goals, and then all of a sudden I got back. And I thought by myself, what's the reason that I'm doing it? When I got started with entrepreneurship, I started to earn money. I started to make a lot of money. It's like, hey, I'm rich, like people say. But all of a sudden, if your why is only getting rich or making money, you probably will give up. Because when you hit a deep bottom, when you're, I don't know how to say it exactly, but when you're very deep, very low to the ground, your money will not, the reason, if you only do this for money, you won't get up again. Your why has to be more than money. What do you want to do with that money? For example, I want to retire my mom. I want to give my brother everything that he needs because he's disabled. And I want to make sure that they have the life that they deserve to have. They've always been there for me. Now it's time to give back to them. Even though they don't ask me, but think about it from that perspective. When I was here, do you really think I would give up on my mom, on my family? No. So think about your why. Write down your why. My why is the background of my phone. My mom and my brother are always on the background of my phone. I always remember it. When you hit rock bottom, that was the word I was looking for. When you hit rock bottom, think about your why. And your why has to be emotional. If you have an emotional why, I can trust you that you will get there because no one can stop you from your emotional why. It's like when you have a lot of bricks in front of you and you know that your success is after those bricks, you start pushing those bricks down, brick by brick. Just think about your why. And that's actually, yeah, I know I have 15 minutes, I think, so they're almost over. Yeah, if you let me talk, I keep on talking forever, but that's not the case because I want to have to schedule. So I'm going to put this back. And I think there's a few minutes for questions, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, there's a lot of things in the chat box. Let me see. Yeah, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jens. We can take questions afterward if you have time. But for now, we're going to move on to our next speaker just to give everyone their time. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Jen.
Jen, that was fantastic. Thank you for joining from Belgium for I think the education that you provide to people in such a like a challenging area is just so insightful, and I think it inspires people and gives them confidence to kind of tackle an intimidating subject. So thank you so much.
No problem. The pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Our final presenter in this part two will be Eric Raw from Broward College Core Program. Eric works for Broward College as the Core Program Senior Outreach Specialist. And Mr. Raw engages community members and has enrolled over 1,000 participants and assisted them with completing professional development training. Mr. Roth, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, hello, good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Hello, good morning, we hear you.
All right, thank you for having me today. I'm truly honored to be here to speak to everyone. Again, my name is Eric Waugh, and I work for the CORE program over at Broward College, which CORE stands for Critical Occupation Response Through Education. And basically what our program does is provide free training for certificates and certifications in different areas such as information management, supply chain management, um, and different other project management as well. And basically through our program, we're able to have people upskill. So this will definitely be for entrepreneurs who may be interested in improving their processes, or anyone who's new to project management. We also have some of those courses, which I'll talk about shortly. And basically just getting you those skills that you need to be better at your job or be better in whatever project it is that you're trying to go into. Our most popular course, also all of our courses are currently online. I'll drop a link in the chat pretty soon for those who are interested in registering. Some of the courses that we do offer, like an intro to Microsoft Excel management, which basically is great for anyone who's learning how to uh, get started with Excel to maybe build a database that you can use for processing inventory, or anyone who may be trying to get started into the admin field or the data field, just knowing how to make pivot tables and use those sorts of tools to run your analytics and understand the type of business or operation that you're running for whatever it is you may be doing. We also have a project management course that we offer, which is basically going to tell you from the entry level of A to Z, how do you get your project off the ground, what it takes to run that project, to fund that project. And the course that we offer gives you that introductory level, which you could then use to take the PMBOK, which is your your professional project manager exam, which that's not something that we offer, but we do lead the path in that. And then our courses are all provided by the continuing education program over at Broward College. So if you start with a course and you're interested in doing more, there's always options to transition. And the college does have similar programs to CORE where some of those credentials can be offered for free. Another course that we do offer is our Lean Six Sigma program, which some of you may already be familiar with, some may not. So for those who don't know, Lean Six Sigma is all about process improvement. And it's all about how do you make your business processes better? How do you make your organization's processes better? And you look at all the things that can possibly go wrong within your business before you even get started. And you kind of just follow it through to its natural path. There's different levels to Lean Six Sigma. A lot of companies and organizations are starting to adopt those practices. So for those who may be looking to build their resume, for those who are looking to implement those programs, I see we have a black belt here. We do offer the yellow belt program currently for this term, and then also starting next spring, we'll be offering more courses. We also have the white belt certification. And basically, as you go through the different levels, you'll understand from from a data standpoint of what you can do to improve your business. Taking the yellow belt course or even our white belt course is going to give you a baseline understanding of what it means to operate your business, what it means to measure your performance, and how to improve it as you go along to make sure you're getting the most accurate data and you're defining your metrics correctly so that you can improve, so that you know where you're starting and you know where you're going. And that's another course that we offer. One of our more challenging courses that we do offer for those who may be into distribution or anything like that. You know, if you're starting a beauty supply store or maybe you're selling t-shirts, you know, on the internet or something like that, we do have our supply chain management course. We offer a principles course and a customer service course. The supply chain management course that we do offer includes the price to take the supply chain management certification, which is an industry certified board that we basically give you this prep course to tell you the A to Z about supply chain, which is basically how do you, you know, you take anything in your life, be it a water bottle or a pencil, how do you take all of the components that it takes to create that product? How do you acquire them? How do you distribute them? How do you build that pipeline so that you can get that to your customer in a timely and efficient manner, with as few errors as possible? So through that course, which is really for a lot of people who may be, like I said, looking to transition to careers down here in South Florida, the beverage industry, for example, is huge with companies like Budweiser or, you know, Coca-Cola, or Coca-Cola, Pepsi, I think. But basically you have those people who work in directly in that field. And so from that, you'll basically get the basics to understand what you need to do to operate in that field. And through our program, we've trained about 60 individuals who've completed that course. Some have passed the certification, some have retried, but we do encourage that if anyone's interested in that, you know, definitely reach out to me, and I'll drop my contact information down here soon, just so that, you know, we get you set up. And the class is very involved. We have instructors who work in each of these fields that I mentioned. A lot of them are currently working. Some of them formerly worked. Some of them recently transitioned just into teaching. So you have that wealth of experience that would back you up. And, you know, if you have any questions about the industry, or if you are looking to move into that career or industry or anything, you know, you have them as a resource and an option. So basically, I'm sorry, I'm just going to drop the link in here. And then my email will be included. And also anyone who's interested in registering, you can just follow that link there. I'm not sure how I'm doing on time here, but I did just want to mention that through our program, once you take core, again, as I said before, we do have other programs at the college that would give you access to more courses. But through the core program, you can only take one course, and that's because of how we're funded, which is by the Department of Economic Opportunity. We are a grant funded program, so there are certain stipulations that we have to require. So if you do take a course and you're interested in more, I'm just letting you know it won't be the core program, but there are other programs at the college that once you take core, you'll get into that pipeline. Those will be offered to you so you can continue to build on that skill set. And a lot of these courses do relate to each other. You also have, let me see. Oh, you also have to be, I'm sorry. So for anyone who may be under 16, you have to be at least 16 to qualify for the program. And other than that, you know, it's free and open to anyone. So if you have any, you know, family members, any other organizations you may be a part of, businesses, employees, or anything like that, this program is totally wide open. We've trained different companies. We've worked with Dutch Pot down here in Broward County, for those who may be aware of that organization. We've also worked with the Hard Rock corporate staff, and we trained a lot of their employees, up to I think 100 at this point. So, you know, a lot of different people have taken advantage of it. And like I said, it's totally free and paid for through the grant. And we'll be running this program up until 2022. So again, I've dropped the link to register. All you have to do is click on that, enter some information, and then we'll follow up with you after you complete the application. And if you have any other questions, my email is also down in the chat as well. And if there's any questions, I will be here to follow up until, you know, you all are done. So thank you again for just giving me this opportunity to speak. I love what I've heard so far. You guys are doing amazing work, and just thank you for allowing me to be a part of it.
Thank you so much, Eric. Right now, one of our leaders, Amanda Starkey, she's going to share a special presentation on LRL. Go ahead, Amanda.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Amanda Starkey. I'm a 2020 high school graduate currently attending the University of Central Florida. So for those of you who are new or unfamiliar with Leaders Recognizing Leaders, I'll just be sharing with you a little bit of information about our organization and what we were able to accomplish pre and post pandemic. So what is our mission here at Leaders Recognizing Leaders? Well, our mission is to teach young people to ages 15 to 25 to how to be leaders and young diplomats, reshaping their mindset for community service, educational development, and global communication in local, national, and international communities. A huge part of our mission statement is communicating with others worldwide. Today, you'll be hearing from speakers from across the globe. As you already know, we had speakers from Poland, Ghana, Nigeria, Canada, Jamaica, the Bahamas, and the United States. Now, here's just a glimpse of what the amazing things that we do here at Leaders Recognizing Leaders. As you can see, we offer community service by participating in beach and street cleanups, feeding the homeless, and during this pandemic, planning virtual service learning projects. We also have our annual Leadership Gala, which will unfortunately be postponed until April 5th, 2023. During the pandemic, we have successfully planned today's Global Youth Leadership Conference, and we have also offered virtual office hours, which I'll be talking about in a later slide. Now, as far as educational development, we offer a parents and community forum, which gives an opportunity for our students and parents to get involved in the community. We also grant many training opportunities for our team to become better leaders. Now, despite the COVID-19 outbreak, our leaders and our team have continued to strive for success virtually. The pandemic did not stop us from leading and networking. As you can see on the slide, here are some photos of our team taking advantage of our virtual platforms by hosting virtual meetings, virtual webinars, and more. One of our biggest accomplishments during this pandemic was planning and executing this year's Global Youth Leadership Conference. Today's conference would not have been possible without these brilliant leaders. And speaking of brilliant leaders, here are today's speakers. These speakers come from all walks of life, ranging from doctors to authors to CEOs. Now, here is a glance of the preparation, hard work, and effort that our team has put into today's conference. As you can see, we have created and posted flyers and countdowns on all of our social media platforms, as well as spreading information about the conference on Instagram Live. And we have conducted numerous amount of Zoom meetings in order to prepare our team for today. Again, huge thank you to our conference team and their fabulous volunteers. This would not have been possible without your cooperation and teamwork. Now, before I conclude this presentation, I wanted to introduce you all to our new mentorship virtual office leadership program. Basically what it is that this program allows you to hear from 50 different mentors speaking about a variety of subjects, which are here on the slide in the flyer. And if you are interested in attending a 30-minute Zoom call with a mentor, do not hesitate to make an appointment. You can contact us by emailing joinlrl@gmail.com or direct messaging us via Instagram at leadersrecognizingleaders_Florida. And if you are a student in high school, you may obtain service hours by joining this program. Once again, thank you all for listening. I hope you all enjoyed something about our organization today. Do not forget to stay connected with us on all of our platforms. Our email and website are listed, as well as our Facebook. So friend us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And we also have different Instagrams for each of our chapters, so just make sure to stay connected and follow us. Once again, my name is Amanda. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the conference. Thank you. Now on to Debbie.
Thank you so much, Amanda. From our Georgia chapter again, Veronica will introduce the next speaker.
Our next speaker is Mahogany Clark, young author and military from Miami, Florida, and at just 21 years old, Mahogany is a poet, author, soldier, student, author of 2 books, Self-Love and A Cup of Family Tea. Both are available on Amazon.
Hello?
Hi, Miss Clark. Go right
Oh, we
ahead.
can hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Hey everyone, I'm Mahogany, last name Clark. I am, as she stated, author, poet, and soldier. I recently actually released my latest book. It's my very first children's book. It's called Somebody Always Loves You. So I'm actually an author of 3 books now. Um, I am originally from Miami, Florida, but I'm stationed here in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And Fayetteville has become a home for me. I actually recently joined it's like it's a um, group. It's called Buy the Block Back 360. And it's basically different business vendors that come together. And we also help out nonprofit organizations within the community. So that's also very good. That's something that I picked up. And I love to do that. My presentation topic is going to be about self-love. That's actually the title of my very first book, which is a poetry book. It's a book full of poems about different scenarios and different situations that I went through in my life, learning to love myself, the mistakes I made, and I basically, of course, encourage other people to not make the same mistakes. Self-love is very important because it ties into how you treat yourself, how you carry yourself, and also it ties into the relationships that you're going to have with other people. Um, Self-love is definitely something that's not easy to always pick up on, and it's not easy to, keep like grasp so that you can keep putting yourself first. A lot of the time, we as people do put other people above us, but you know, it's always better to take that same love and that same help that you give to other people. Sometimes you have to give it to yourself, because if you don't, you become drained. You start to feel lower than you should, and it just doesn't help with your day-to-day life. So if you run a business or if you're in school, you need to be in good health, you need to be in good stand so that you can accomplish everything that you need to accomplish. I chose Self Love to be my very first book because of the like I actually write poetry. So I would write normally just to release stress, but it was never something that I thought I would always be doing. I used to just do it because I would go through a lot of things and I couldn't necessarily speak about them. Like growing up in my house, being younger, and the parent being the parent, and that's just how things were. So writing kind of gave me a voice without having to speak, sort of thing. So that's where I really originally began writing. And self-love, I noticed when I look back at a lot of my poems from before, and that was recent at the time, they all kind of touched on me not put myself first. The different situations I encountered with people, it could have went a totally different way if I valued myself more. So that was why I came up with the title Self Love, and then that's when the book just came together. Also, I noticed too when I wrote the book, a lot of younger people, such as myself, 21 and under, actually, a lot of teenagers, even some adults, they also could relate to self-love and the lack of valuing yourself, and the things that we do to kind of keep people around that probably shouldn't even be around anyway, because they don't have our best interest at heart, but we had theirs at heart. So the topic was very relatable, and it was very helpful. It's like more self-help, more, because it's important to be healthy, internally, on the outside, everything. So, but yes, if you want to find any of my 3 books, they are all available on Amazon. Um, Self Love is my very first book. My second book is A Cup of Family Tea.
And my latest book is my very first children's book called Somebody Always Loves You. I just want to thank LRL for reaching out to me and asking me to speak. I actually felt very honored for that because it's actually the first time I was actually asked to speak on a platform. I usually ask myself, I ask to speak on other people's platform, but this was the very first time that I was actually offered to speak on a platform. So I thought that was very amazing. But thank you guys for having me, and I'm Mahogany Clark.
Thank you so much, Mahogany. I can't wait for your book to come out. What's the date again for the children's book?
Oh, the children's book was released October 14th. So it came out 3 days ago. 3 days ago, yes.
Congratulations. I'm definitely getting several copies for all the little ones.
Yes, I'll drop the links in the chat below.
Thank you so much. Okay, up next we have speaker Mr. Willaire St. Bill. His mentee, Miss Monica Harvey, is going to introduce him virtually. So, Miss Edwina, LRL team, please play her pre-recorded intro.
Recognizing Leaders Annual Global Youth Leadership Conference. My name is Monique Harvey, and I am this year's conference director. Raised in Miami, Florida, I attended Florida Atlantic University, where I earned my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and recently earned a master's in public administration from the George Washington University. I currently reside in our nation's capital, where I work as an HR assistant for the DC Department of Human Resources. This breakout session is building your professional network in a virtual setting. But before we begin, please let me introduce our speaker, Mr. Willaire St. Bill. Mr. Willaire St. Bill is a lead human resources specialist within the District of Columbia Department of Human Resources. He has over 35 years of experience managing workforce development, health and human services, and educational services programs for nationally recognized organizations such as the United Way of New York City, Diploma Plus, and the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle. Willaire has also worked within the City of Seattle's Office of Economic Development and was an adjunct professor at Western Washington University. Currently, within the District of Columbia Department of Human Resources, Willaire has the opportunity to call upon his life experience as an immigrant from Haiti who speaks 4 languages, English, Spanish, French, and Haitian Creole, when working with communities of all generations, cultures, socioeconomic class, and ethnicities. His work is guided by a strong passion for social justice and equality. Additionally, Willaire manages leadership programs, facilitates core competency classes for the district government workforce, and leads major initiatives. Willaire completed the District of Columbia Government Executive Leadership Program through the George Washington University and received leadership development training within the City of Seattle's Leadership of Tomorrow and the Third Sector New England Mission Works nonprofit executive leadership development program. His education includes an undergraduate degree in pre-med, graduate studies in public administration, and medical school in Mexico. Willaire is deeply invested in both his personal and professional communities and has served them as a certified mediator, coach, and yoga teacher. And with this, I present to you Mr. Willaire St. Bill.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you so much, Mo. Always enjoy listening to you and engaging with you. And I thank you for inviting me to be part of LRL this morning. I'm privileged. I feel extremely special to be amongst you this morning. You know, I'm tired after listening to Mo talking about me. Maybe you are as well. It's a quite kind of set up to live up to. Do you have the PowerPoint for me, Mo? And the PowerPoint is more kind of a guide, and I'm not necessarily going to stick to it verbatim, but it will help me to make sure that I stay on task in what I was told to share with you. And as most people that I'm connected to are accustomed to experience with me, I will start by sharing a couple of quotes with you before going to the virtual networking essential. The first one is by a name I'm sure most of you are connected to, Deepak Chopra. Giving connects two people, the giver and the receiver. And this connection gives birth to a new sense of belonging. And by the way, in this world, that's one thing we all share in common. We all need to belong. We all want to belong in one way or another. Next one, please. This by Zig Ziglar, a little bit lighter. You can have everything in life you want if you would just help enough other people get what they want. And that's me coming to you as a resource. I live as a resource. By giving, I receive a whole lot more than I actually give. The last one, please. The successful people in the world look for and build networks. Everyone else look for work. And that's when I want to transition to my presentation. I want you to remember that. The successful people in the world look for and build networks. And that's why we are here. Thank you. First slide. I'm supposed to talk to you about virtual networking. And to me, it's no different than any network that I've done since my early days as a young professional in New York City, back in the mid 80s and late 80s, early 90s, when a host of much more mature and much older community embraced me as a young professional and helped me to understand the value of networking. And back then, people were laughing at these elders when they say, young man, young women, I'm going to help you network for the 21st century. At the time, we thought that was like some 200 years from then, and what are they talking about? And the concepts have not changed. The concepts have not changed. And I want to start with, and I believe Jens Herben said he asked why in this presentation. The why is a question he asked repeatedly. And so I'm going to start with that question about networking. When you're about to network and you finally get acquainted to the concept of a network, the first thing I would want you to do is determine the goal and purpose of your need to network. When you say to your mind that I need to start networking and I need to network, and that they told me there's a value in networking, I want you to start from the concept is, what is my goal? What is my purpose for networking, all right? Because that's where you have to start, because based on your goal and purpose for networking, that will determine the strategy and the approach that you take to networking, all right? And second, and I also was listening to the last two speakers before me, and I heard Ms. Samantha Caballero said, elevator speech, right? Well, guess what? The same thing applies to networking. And the question I would ask is, who are you? And if I can kind of bring up my best Cornel West voice, who are you really, right? That's Cornel West at his best. I don't have his voice, I can try. But if you're about to network, you have to start from you. Who are you? So that when you that elevator that Caballero mentioned, when you have an opportunity to talk to someone over the phone, or you in such a conference like this, and you're using the chat feature to communicate, who are you? And how do you show up, right? And that gets into what is your brand. We all need a brand. We are a product. Yes, we are human resources, we are human energy, human spirit, right? But we have a brand. And our brand is something that sometimes we forget. We have to continually work on. What Monique read for you in the beginning is my brand. What you see in front of you this morning is my brand. By the way, behind me, I didn't set this up for you. It's part of my office, but behind me, you can see my brand. The picture of the yogi, the picture of the tree of life, that is my brand. So again, none of this is accidental. None of this is coincidental. It's intentional. You have to determine your brand, and you have to work every single day into identifying and showing up as your brand. So anyone that you speak to, anyone that's in your presence, should recognize who are you. Next slide, please. Then we move into, you need to start from where you are. Every single one of you have access to resources. Now, just like in life, everything is not equal. Everything is not equal, which is why we're seeking equity, right? We're seeking equity, we need equity because not everything is equal. However, you have resources that are accessible to you, you may not see value in. Each of you have at least one adult in your life. And some of you have multiple positive adults in your life. And those adults in your life are resources that can help you connect to people who could be part of your network if you put in the effort. Your parents have they do some work. They have extended family members. You have neighbors. Most of you just graduated from high school or in college. You in some kind of educational setting. And all these individuals are resources to you. You may not always see them that way, but they are resources to you. So for example, one of the things that Monique Harvey is connected to me to an internship in the district, a leadership internship. And the question we always ask them is, or the statement is, closed mouth. And the response is, what is the answer to closed mouth? Don't get fed. Closed mouth, don't get fed. So then if you are among your family, you in your neighborhood, you in school, you in any situation, and you don't talk about yourself, again, that 30, 60, 90 seconds of who you are and what is your purpose, then no one will know you are someone who's looking to connect. No one will know what you may need from them, in return what they may gain from you. So again, there are some natural and organic resources we have access to that oftentimes we do not take advantage of. So again, our parents, our cousins, our aunties, our grandparents, most folks of color, most people around the world belong to a house of worship. We belong to a community, right? And all those are resources we can tap into as we develop a network, right? As we develop a circle of influence, right? And I'm sure you all have many circles of influence, and those are network opportunities. Next slide, please. Nurture and value relationship. Sometimes we do triage without knowing it. We meet people come into our lives, and we dismiss them as face value before nurturing and showing value in that relationship. I find value in every relationship that I get into. Every single relationship, there's something to be gained, something to be learned, something that should be cherished, right? And you're not going to know until you start truly nurturing and investing into that relationship. You invest in yourself and invest in others. There's a concern toward the end of this presentation called ROI. You just heard from a business presentation. I'm sure most of you have heard the term of ROI, return on investment. Well, you cannot get a return on investment unless you invest. So you need to invest in yourself, invest in others. And that's part of how you nurture and value relationships. I always say it's like dropping a sponge in a bucket of water. When you pull out the sponge, water will be dripping out of that sponge, and then you squeeze that sponge. Eventually, the sponge is still wet, and you use it to do what you need to do. Well, when you develop a relationship, you never know what you're going to need when you're going to need. So you need to continue to develop relationship. There's no such thing as, for example, most of you are on Facebook, you're on Instagram. In fact, there's a song by, I'm sure one of your favorite artists, You Do Anything for Clout, right? Well, clout on IG and clout on Facebook, right? It's not the only place that count. There are relationships that you may dismiss without knowing what that person can add, the kind of value person can add to your life and your network. So continue to develop and value relationships and invest in these relationships. And some of you say, well, I'm 18, I'm 19, I'm 20, I'm 22. What do I bring to a relationship? Well, guess what? At 61 years old, I value every relationship that I have. From my 9-year-old granddaughter to the 17, 18-year-old high school students who see me as a mentor, to the undergrad and grad students, to the person who's 30, 40, they all bring value to me because they all bring a perspective to my life every single day that I would not have without them, right? I've learned about cloud because of my sons and my nieces and nephews who are in their 20s and 30s. That's value to me, right? And so you have to understand, no matter where you are in life, you bring value to all your relationships. Now, quite often, you connect with mentors or coaches or university professors or teachers who want to be almighty. So they'll never tell you that you add value to their life, that your relationship is valuable to them as well. But I'm telling you, you bring value to relationship. Because usually when I tell younger people that networking is an exchange of quote unquote energy and spirit, right? There's a give and take. That's well, what do I have to give? You have a whole lot that you bring to relationship. You first have to assess and evaluate your values, your gifts that you naturally bring with you into every relationship that you have. Next slide. Presence. Now again, your presence should not be quote unquote a surprise. It should not be happenstance. Your presence should be intentional. Just like you're very intentional about every picture you show on IG, just like you're very intentional about every picture you show up on Facebook, you should be intentional about how you show up in every single interaction. Because people will remember how you show up. They will remember your presence. And they're gonna reach conclusion based on how you show up, right? And so take note of how you show up every single day. You're not going to show up the same way every single day because we don't feel the same way every single morning. Our life changes from day to day, but show up at your very best. By the way, this jacket, yes, I'm wearing it just for you guys. Before I put on this jacket, I had just on a t-shirt. Under this jacket, it's a t-shirt. But I know at least I need to dress it up a little. I need to ramp it up a little, right? So be always mindful that also you are always being watched. Those of you that are in high school or in college, your professors are always watching you. Your advisors are always watching you. Your friends are always watching you, right? Just like your communication, how you express yourself, whether you're on IG, on Facebook, in the hallways of your school, or right now virtual schooling, wherever you are, people are always tracking your presence and how you express yourself, how you choose your words, how you choose your tone, how you choose your body language. Every single time, right or wrong, whether you like it or not, you are always telling people who you are by how you show up and how you communicate. And my favorite topic nowadays is emotional intelligence. Remember one thing, emotional intelligence is only one phrase I have for you. Emotional intelligence is a combination of how you identify, understand, and manage your emotion, as well as identify, understand, and manage emotion of others. That is emotional intelligence. So from where you are, every interaction, every communication you're about to have, be mindful of your own emotion. Be mindful of your own emotion. And at the same time, be mindful of the emotion of the person you're interacting with. That will make that engagement a lot more effective, a lot more productive, and you may get the outcome that you want more often than not if you are being emotionally intelligent in those situations. Next slide, please. Staying in the game, stay in the game. You are networking 24/7. You go to the grocery store, you are networking. You're walking down the street to your car, you are networking. Because as you walk out of the door, your neighbor to the left, your neighbor to the right, they're looking at you. They're seeing you. They're seeing how you show up, right? Someone is crossing the street in front of you, they drop a chicken bone. Do you pick it up and put it in the garbage? That shows you care about your neighborhood. Or do you eating that piece of chicken, throw it in the street and keep walking? So, okay, staying in the game, staying in the game. You do not have the luxury of having a downtime because the person who see you in that downtime, that's all they know of you. So you have to stay in the game and be value added. Find ways to add values. Find ways to stay connected. accept calculated risk. The neighbor down the hall, the neighbor down the street who seemed kind of gruff and have not talked to anyone, seemed very much of a loner. Well, you know what? That person may have a whole lot more than you believe. I remember as a young man, young professional, growing up on Prospect Place in Brooklyn, New York, where I'm from. And across the street, there was an old man who was as cranky as can be. As the young guys who play down the street, if a ball hit his car, he would go crazy. But people never took the time to understand his reality. This was a vet back in World War II, right? He was a fighter pilot back in World War II, one of the few as an African-American man. This is a man who felt he never got his due in society. There was a lot of anger in him. But as I got to know him, I understand his spirit, I understand his energy, and we connected. I took a risk in reaching out to this man who was hurting. That was a calculated risk, right? Sometimes someone will reach out to you and say, well, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? Okay? But you will never know until you accept that invitation. You'll never know until you take that calculated risk, right? Go where no one has gone before. Well, be that person. Go where no person has gone before. Do it safely. That's why I said calculate risk and be of service to others. Mo kept thanking me for being with you this morning. I told her, no, that's my passion. That's my purpose in life. I'm a public servant, not because I work for the district now. When I work for nonprofit at United Way, when I was the CEO of the Urban League, I always said myself a public servant. I'm in this world to serve. Every single day I can get up, put my 2 feet on the ground and stand up and walk. I'm ready to serve. That's most of the connections that I've made is because I have placed myself in a position where I can serve. And in serving others, guess what? I'm being blessed. I'm being served so that I can return the favor to others. Next slide. Follow up. There's an old-fashioned rule to networking. 24 hours. I'm sure you heard of this, right? 24 hours. Because we meet so many people in the course of a day. We meet so many people in the course of a day, especially now in this virtual environment. I'm still meeting people by the hundreds every single day. If you don't shoot me an email or shoot me a text or go on LinkedIn, ask me for a connection on LinkedIn. If you wait for a week or two, now you're gonna have to remind me how I met you. And then I don't know what about you that may strike me to want to accept your invitation. And the reason within 24 hours, because again, I want to remember what was the impression you left of me? Because again, we have to leave an impression on people, right? So you do within 24 hours, I'm more likely to remember you. I'm more likely to make a connection of you to something that was special to me, right? But if you wait a week, and that not just because I'm 61, but the 21-year-old, the 31-year-old, they're also busy in their life. They may not remember you enough to want to connect with you. So follow up, and follow up in a way they're going to remember you. Because part of the elevator speech that Caballero mentioned in the beginning is having a hook. You know, just like a good song, you need a hook. What about you that people will remember? What is special about you that people will remember? And I'm glad that Mo mentioned it in her presentation for me, is that how many African-American men, 60 years old, you've met that is a yogi? So now all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, 60 years old is a yogi? Okay. You will remember that, right? Well, you know what? It's not like as an immigrant, New York race, he speaks 4 languages. I will remember that. So you need to have that kind of hook, right? So that people will remember you when you follow up. And then manage up. In fact, actually, we have a class called Managing Up because we ask people to manage up. The higher people are in the food chain, right, the more they have to deal with. So therefore, if you want something from them, you have to manage up. You literally have to go up to them and manage their expectation and manage up. So you may have to be the one set up the schedule. You know what? 2 weeks ago, we agreed that you will spend 10 minutes with me online just to have a conversation about this. You may be the one having to send a reminder 24 hours in advance. By the way, Miss So-and-so, by the way, Mr. So-and-so, we have an appointment tomorrow at 2 p.m. on a virtual conversation. I just wanted to give you a heads up, and this is what we said we would talk about. manage up, and maybe tell them where they met you, right? And what was discussed when there was an agreement to meet to discuss whatever we're going to discuss. Manage up, right? And so when you meet, when you're talking to a professor, you're talking to someone that you look up to, that's a mentor, manage up. They'll appreciate you for it. They'll remember you for it. And then that's the last piece. Be strategic about long-term return on investment. Some of us only care about what's going on now, what's going on tomorrow. Guess what, folks? Who would have thought we would have been in this multiple pandemic for the past 7 months? For some people, it seemed like it was just yesterday, right? Because time passed very quickly. So if you only want to eat for tomorrow, fine. But I want to say you want to prepare for not only January for inauguration, I hope the right person win, and even 4 years from now, when we're fighting for the next administration, you need to plan for the next 5 to 10 years of your future. So you have to play the long game, not just the immediate gratification. Play for the long game. So when you build a relationship, don't turn it off because you do not see the return tomorrow. Don't turn away from the person because you do not see the return in January. Play the long game because people's life change. You never know where people are going to sit in 5 to 10 years and having them to remember you, that you were part of their life. Play the long game and you will definitely see the return on investment. I believe that's on my slides. Any question, any reflection, anything you have for me?
Thank you so much, Mr. Saintville. Next, we have Amanda. Please introduce our next speaker.
All right, thank you so much. Please join me in welcoming college student and former JRTC Cadet Commander Taylor Pittman. Having graduated from West Broward High School with a 4.0 GPA, Taylor was a battalion commander, leading over 300 cadets. She aspires to one day work as a Haitian American lawyer, practicing civil rights and social justice reform across the country.
Thank you so much, Amanda. I just first and foremost want to say thank you, everyone, for attending today's conference. Thank you to the leaders. Thank you, all of you, for sharing such great wisdom. And for all the adult mentors out there and the speakers today, I just want to say thank you because you really are giving back to young people like myself, because we need adults like you to help us and bring us forward for the next generations to come and so on and so forth. So the wisdom today is just phenomenal and inspirational. So if I had to describe the year of 2020 in just one word, I would probably have to say that it's unprecedented. I think that's safe to say. And from a morbid and fatal pandemic to an economic disruption, to raging bushfires across Australia, to divisive racial tensions reaching its boiling point, and to passion-driven protests heard from all over the world, I think it's safe to say that this year has been unprecedented, and I don't even believe that covers all of it. Coming straight out of high school and as a recent graduate of the class of 2020, I was hit with this sudden and harsh reality that this cocoon that I was in for a lot of the years of my life, the world wasn't as picture perfect as I had believed it to be. And I think that was kind of just a really harsh reality for me to accept that. So realizing that all cops wore capes and didn't wear capes, and that they weren't able to catch every bad guy, and that I was going to be sometimes defined by the way that I looked on the outside, which is something that I didn't believe that would actually happen. I had to learn that even though my mannerism and my thoughts were a particular way, sometimes that didn't always matter to some people. I also had to understand that there's a world of racism and it's not just a thing of the past, and that wars are no longer, it's not that it's extinct, and that we're just at world peace. There's a lot of work that still had to be done. And I soon came to the reality that the world had a few cuts and burns, and that it just needed a generation that would put in the work to healing it. So as a young person and also as a member of Gen Z, I think it's important that we understand our role in this world and where exactly we come in. As young people, are we sitting down at the tables where conversations are happening and where decisions are being made? Where is it exactly that we're putting forth our feelings and our leadership? Because I truly believe that each of us as young people and each of us as people have an ability to be leaders. I believe that it's already in us, innate in us, and that we have a calling to be higher and better than we probably even believed in ourselves. So that being said, I think sometimes we also, as young people, feel a pressure to be a certain kind of successful. I think sometimes we feel that successful is in the form of just becoming a billionaire by the time you're 20, and sometimes feeling that you have to accomplish all of your goals by the time you're in your 20s, and if you wait past then, you're done and you should probably just give up. And I think sometimes that could even be a bit traumatic for some of us, where we feel that we can't always live up to that, and that sometimes tends to make us feel that we're not worthy enough, and that if we can't reach those expectations, then are we really successful? And that's sometimes the belief that we have, but in reality, that's not necessarily what Gen Z means. I believe that with everything that's happening in the world, we actually hold a lot more power and a lot more say and influence in the world than we even realize. I think that we have an influence that can definitely change the trajectory of our futures and for so many more after us. And one way and one influence would be voting. As the youngest adults, and the youngest adults of the Gen Z population is 18 to 23, as the youngest, we actually have a chance to really make an impact. And as we're already emerging in the country's political influence, we also have to know that that's not the only say that we have. Our voices do matter. So putting in the time to vote is so imperative and so essential, and educating ourselves on that, and knowing that it doesn't matter if you feel that you're not the most outspoken person, because believe it or not, I actually had a humongous stage fright. I've actually learned to cope with it over time, but it takes work, and it takes believing in myself, and it takes adults and mentors and friends, great friends in the Gen Z community that have believed in me, to know that I am more than sometimes I believe I'm capable of. Besides just having an influence in the politically, our generation also has a huge financial influence. Currently, the Gen Z community commands $44 billion in spending power, and that's a lot. That's not something that I would want to mess with. And that being said, that's nearly 40% of all consumer shopping. And sometimes we actually, believe it or not, there's also a trend that's going on where thrifting is a thing. So even though there might be stereotypes where young people are probably not the most frugal, or that we're not being mindful of our spending, in reality, that's actually not necessarily the truth. That's actually not the whole picture, and it's not speaking to the core of the Gen Z community. In fact, we actually are really mindful in this generation, and it's actually quite amazing to see how much we are actually pushing more upcycling, and ensuring that we're being more mindful of our communities, and how exactly we're using straws, and being more mindful of our environment, and the way that we're wearing our clothes and where it's coming from. So it's a lot of things that are now being more educated, and we're becoming more mindful of it as we're coming up. And I definitely believe that that's something that's going to influence our world and the future forever. So another thing is that we're having an influence on social issues. And I know everyone has seen it all over the world. It's being heard. All of the protests, and not even just what's happening in the United States, but what's happening around the world, and the discriminations that are being faced currently. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and sometimes it could be discouraging to young people. it could be discouraging to us where we feel that such a big problem can't be handled by us. When we look at what's faced in front of us. But in reality, we actually are so prepared for anything that's coming our way, because the fact that we were even able to get through a year like 2020, there's nothing that can stop us. There is absolutely nothing that would get in the way of us. In fact, I believe that has shaped us and is molding us into adults and leaders that are going to be able to really take on these issues that come our way. It's these times and these hard circumstances and trials that really show whether or not our generation is able to persevere. And I believe that we are. And with the discrimination and the wars on whether or not human rights, basic human rights, are entitled to each and every human being, which it is, from Belgium to France to Lebanon to the United States and to so many countries around the world, we are fighting for not just our deserving human rights, but for also the vulnerable people who are not as privileged as many of us. We're putting in the work, not just for ourselves, but for people around us. So it's important that we give back to ourselves, because we owe it to ourselves to make sure that we actually use our voice, we use our platforms, we use anything to the power that we have. So whether it's writing a letter to our local congressional office, or sharing some woke knowledge to our friends and family, or even watching a TikTok at literally the fingertips of right there. In fact, a lot of us get a lot of our news through social media. And I think it's definitely groundbreaking and trailblazing, and that we are using these resources to communicate with other people, and that we're realizing that we're not alone. So these struggles that we went through when growing up and the struggles that we're going through now, we are not alone. We have so many people that are coming together and supporting one another from our community, and the adults that are giving us the chance and the opportunity to sit down at these tables, like this event today. The fact that I even have the opportunity to speak with each of you today, and the fact that this entire conference is student-led, which is absolutely amazing. And I just have to thank Edwina for that opportunity. We're now seeing that young people can and are up to the challenge. We have always been up to the challenge. It's whether or not we're going to be given the opportunity. So although these times have been absolutely unprecedented, we are just becoming stronger individuals because of it. And we're persevering through the hardest of times. So what I think is just so amazing about our generation is that we don't have a will to stop. I think that's one thing that I'm seeing, is that we're just going and going and going, and we're not turning back. And that is just super important. And I think that there's a lot that's on our back sometimes, where we feel that we have a lot of stereotypes, when in reality, those things don't really speak to our generation as a whole. And we can keep going, and we don't have to allow for anybody to diminish that, as long as we believe in ourselves. And that's something I had to learn. At least in the last 4 years in my high school career, I had to learn that I was actually so much more, and I was putting a lot of limits on myself. And once I was able to overcome that, and once I had a team and mentors that really believed in me and helped me to see what I could not see, it changed everything for me, and it's going to continue. So once we can believe that, then honestly, I see such a brighter future for each and every one of us. Whether there's someone that doesn't feel hope for our generation, I beg to differ. And I would actually like to prove those people wrong. And it's because we're optimistic, even in the darkest of times. And I believe that we're making such a pivotal role in shaping our world, the entire globe, for future generations to come. And it's because we all deserve it. And to the adults and the parents, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for your wisdom, because we are going somewhere. There are a lot of students out there who are not as fortunate as myself to have had mentors in high school. And I think it's super important that not only us young people make sure that we give back to other young people and help give them the same wisdom that we're gaining along the way. But adults really need to step in because your gifts and your talents cannot be wasted. It could help us and take us so far and change someone like myself who otherwise would not be sitting here talking to everyone today. So that being said, I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Taylor. I have chills all over my body. And I say Taylor for President 2020. Here we go. Thank you again. Okay, our next speaker is Miss Womie Ojo. She's with the Amani Health Foundation, all the way from Nigeria, Africa. She's a United Nations Youth Champion with fieldwork and experiences in over 6 countries. So Miss Ojo, whenever you're ready, please.
Hello, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for this honor. Again, it's so nice to be here with you. You guys recognizing me here is always like, a great opportunity. Taylor, thank you so much for that. Like, I also had chills, Debbie. Like, I was like, wow, zero in and listen to what this young woman has to say. Taylor 2020, that was amazing. Well done. I'll be watching you. We're all going to be watching you. So just like Debbie said, I'm Nigerian and I am currently in Nigeria. I had a whole thing put together, to be honest, but recently in my country, we have been going through a nationwide protest because enough is enough. We have had a lot of cases of this group called SARS, the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, who are supposed to protect us, just like how the police are supposed to protect us. And instead, these are the people assaulting, harassing, and also murdering fellow citizens like myself. So again, who are the people that have said enough is enough? Young people, millennials, Gen Z. We are the people actually standing up and saying, we can't do this anymore. Like, we cannot do this. In Nigeria, we have a saying, suffering and smiling. That means, and that was by Fela, and it means you're going through so much stress, so much turmoil, you're just going through the works and you just smile through it all. But as a Nigerian, I will speak for all Nigerians to say we are resilient people. We're unbreakable. We are smart. We are energetic. We are resourceful. I know there's a lot of negativity, when it comes to when you hear a Nigerian, you're like, oh, but we are a force to reckon with. And the truth is, right now, just like how things are happening in the United States with Black Lives Matter and how everyone's saying you have to go vote, is the same thing that's happening here today. Literally right now, there are hundreds of people out, thousands of people out on the street protesting and saying, you can't keep us, okay, for example, my country celebrated 60 years of independence this year, but do you know that there has been no year where we have had constant electricity? There are places where we live through blackouts. Like it's a common thing not to have electricity, something as basic as electricity. So that's what we're going through. And I'm saying all this to get to my point of identity. So that's why Mr. Wheeler St. Bill, thank you for that. When you pointed out, who are you? I think it's important for everybody to understand and to think about that question. Really, who are you? What do you stand for? Do you want to stand for equality? Do you want to stand for, for justice? Do you want to fight for women empowerment, for men empowerment? What do you want to stand for? Who are you? I feel like when we realize who we are and who we are in society, we're able to have a stronger voice. So just like Taylor said, Taylor, again, that was an amazing presentation. Just like Taylor said, I feel like Gen Z, the people that I see out here protesting, they're younger people. Older people are looking at us and saying, what are you complaining about? But no, we're not gonna sit through that. And so that's why I love the fact that Edwina has created this platform where, we can all talk about what is happening and all encourage ourselves, because that's what we need. We need that encouragement. We need that motivation. So in 2015, I founded a nonprofit called the Imani Health Foundation. I had to go through a process of transformation, and I had to search for myself and actually ask myself, who am I as a person and what do I want to stand for? It's okay to stand for multiple things. As long as you know who you are, just go for what you feel your passion is. Because we don't want to have regrets at the end of the day to say, oh, I should have tried that, or I should have tried this. So I think the theme that I was given today was either write something worth reading or do something worth writing. And this just goes to say, do something, make an impact, be that extraordinary person that you were born to be. And this doesn't mean you have to be a Beyonce or you have to be a, it just means do something that would impact the life of one person. Because to the world, you're one person, but to one person, you are the world. You can make an impact in someone's life, and that person will remember you forever and write a story about you. The person you might, you never know, and that's true. So I started a nonprofit called Imani Help Foundation. I went through my own personal trauma as a child, and so I fought through that, and I said, okay, I have to do something. I don't want what happened to me to happen to another young person. And so at Imani Help Foundation, we work with adolescents and educate adolescents on adolescent sexual reproductive health, female genital mutilation, rape, and other sexual assaults cases that we have. And it is a lot, especially here in this part of the world where there's this culture of silence when it comes to issues just like that. We decide to stay silent instead of talking about it. And what happens is that it keeps on happening. And so we just go around and we educate people, we tell people enough is enough, speak out if you have gone through anything traumatic. And the people that have come back to say, thank you so much for doing this. I have gone through this, I have gone through that. For me, that's enough. For me, it encourages me to keep on having outreaches, to keep on having talks, conferences, because I've effectively, and with the help of my team, we've changed the life of one person. And so once you find that thing that you are passionate about, once you find that thing that you can't sleep at night without doing it. When you go to bed, you're like, oh, I wish I could, do this. And that's part of why I moved back. I'm like, I can't stay here because I was in Florida. Edwina and I were in Nova together. And I used to go to bed like, I don't feel like I'm making an impact. And I'm like, it motivated me with other factors. It motivated me to move back. And every day I think of what I can do. And that's the message I'm going to leave you with. What is it that drives you? Think about it and write it out. Don't just think, write it out. There's something powerful about putting things down on paper. You're bringing it to life. So what is it that motivates you? What is that drive? What is that fire that makes you want to do something, that makes you, and you're sure that when you do it, you'll be happy. Or maybe you're not even sure if it'll make you happy, but at least try it. Because at the end of the day, we're all here on earth for a reason. There is a purpose to our existence. And so I always encourage people, just sit down, take some time out, whether you have a cup of coffee or some tea, and think about it. Who am I? What do I love doing? How can I help my society? Who can I help? What do I stand for? Just like Mr. Willer St. Bill said, what do I stand for? And write it out. Because again, there is something powerful about writing things out. And once you get that, work on it, think about it. And it also transforms, it also changes along the way. Life is a journey. Along the way, you find out that you have an interest in that as well, an interest in that as well. And you put that together. But to be honest, I have so much faith in Gen Z and in my generation as a millennial. I have so much faith just by looking at what's happening on the streets here in Nigeria. I wish I could show you guys what's happening, but I know there's a video out there with me in the protest yesterday. Just by seeing what is happening and how my generation and Gen Z, we are making changes, I'm rest assured that our future is going to be so great, especially here in Africa. Watch out for us. Watch out for us, because Wakanda, Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace. I love the fact that, Black Panther actually, came out, because it really showed people that Africa, we're not sleeping. We are awake. And once we yawn, everyone's going to feel that impact. So yes, again, I'm going to leave you with that. To the world, you may be one person, but just know that to one person, you are the world. Again, I'm Omia Ojo. Thank you so much for this platform. Thank you everybody for being here, all 45 participants right now. Thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to hearing other bright people such as Taylor for president, and Edwina, again, thank you so much. And Debbie, thank you for all your hard work. And to all the volunteers, thank you so much. God bless you. Bye.
Thank you, Ms. Ojo, for joining us from across the globe. Also from across the globe in Africa, South Africa, we have Miss Felina Jean, creator of Blackboards Abroad. Miss Jean, whenever you
Can you guys hear me and see me? My Wi-Fi is a bit troubled, but thank you guys for extending this wonderful platform to me. I'm very honored that you considered me. My name is Felina Jean. I'm originally from South Central Los Angeles, and I guess my trajectory is taking me all over the world. Professionally, I am retired. It was in a number of Thai and
I'm so sorry, Miss Jean. We're having trouble hearing you. Okay, let me help her with this. In the meantime, we have next.
I launched Black.
Okay.
Books.
Okay, sorry about that. We're having technical difficulties. In the meantime, we have Matilda Abrugua. She is LRL's Ghana chapter president, an autism activist, and community organizer. Ms. Abrugua, are you available? I think we lost both Matilda and Miss Jean. Okay, in the meantime, Edwina, shall we cut session A and take a break for B?
Yes, that would be great. Let's just go give them a few moments to come back. I know that some of them are having some time with the internet. I see Miss Jean actually just got back, so let's see if we can try again. Okay, Debbie, let's just take a moment to allow them to try to get their internet back up again, which is fine. We totally understand. Let's just hear from some of our student leaders as we are waiting for them to return back on your feedback so far of the conference. And if you have any particular questions for some of the speakers who are still with us. I see we still have Mr. St. Bill. Anyone have any questions? You can just go ahead and turn on your camera and you can ask your question.
Okay, you can go ahead, Nandita.
Yes, I would like to. I just want to start off by saying just how great of an experience this is. I feel like so lucky to be here in this conference and just hear what each mentor has to say. I think this is such a great opportunity for us, especially the Gen Z and the millennials that we have here with us today. I do have a question. So, as for anyone who could answer, any of our mentors or speakers that are here with us today, I just want to ask, what are some things, since I am a high school student, what are some things that I can do to kind of make an impact in my community? I know I haven't graduated high school yet, and I just want to know what are some things I can do, whether it's through volunteering or possibly coming up with a business, or what are some things that I can do to make an impact in my community?
Mr. St. Bill, we also have Wami with us. You can go ahead and share.
Hi, Nandita. Well, I'm not sure if Mr. St. Bill wants to speak, but I just have one thing to say. Well, thank you for being here. And I will say one thing that I wish that I did when I was in high school was I really wish I had a mentor. I really wish I did. I didn't have that because I had my passions like all over the place, that if I did have a mentor that I could speak with, or maybe two mentors that I could speak with, and they could have helped me align everything, or I could have, watched them or observed what they did and try to not mirror that, but shape my passions in line with that. And I feel like if I had done that, I would have created a better impact. I would have created something much better. I mean, I'm fine with where I am right now, but I really, that's my advice for you. So in society, who is that one person that you look up to? Who are the people that you feel you would like to be like or be greater than? But that's the line that you want to follow in. That's my advice, because if once you have that, you'll be able to like align yourself with what it is that you really want and go for it. So yeah, that's it for me. I'm not sure if Mr. Willer has something to say.
Well, for me, Nandita, I'm not a speaker, but I will tell you that I do regret not being as involved socially in high school. I was so everything about my academics, getting into the best college, law school, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't really enjoy my high school experience the way my friends did. So I'm not saying go out and party, don't do that. I'm saying maybe join more clubs, maybe explore your hobbies, explore your interests. Like, I don't know, art club, music club, simple things like that. It's not all about academics all the time. That's my advice.
Yeah, I think what both of you said are really valuable to me. At least I know there are other high school students present here, so I definitely feel, at least personally, that I'm kind of, I have a general idea of kind of what I want to do to make an impact in my community. And I know some high school students here might be still confused of what exactly is great for people to kind of find their path, kind of find what interests them and what they can do to help out their community, from the organizations that people have brought us here. And I think it's just wonderful, everyone here. I just want to say thank you to everyone here that's present.
Hello. I have a question.
Go ahead, Zoe. I think you're muted. Just unmute yourself.
Okay. So I have a question for the speakers. Like what is you guys drive when it comes to making a business? Like where do you start like when you make your business? Because that's a question I always have because I do want to make a business as well. So like where do you start? Like where do you go?
That would have been a perfect question for Sam. Sam, I'm going to give you her Instagram and all her contact information. Her company, Startup with Sam, she goes exactly one step by step on starting your companies. Ms. Ojo, do you have any input?
Well, thank you for that question. And I'll be honest with you. I feel like even as a millennial, we're still discovering as well. But the lesson, from what I started a business this year, actually. I started a consultancy. It was very nerve-wracking for me. But the one key thing is identifying your passion. Because whatever idea that you have to be able to deal with the ups and the downs. I can't, like Sam, I can't give like a step-by-step, process of setting up a business, but I will say that one key thing is that you have to identify what your passion is and make sure that whatever weather you go through, whatever, if it's a smooth ride or a turbulent ride, because you have that fire driving you, you continue. So my consultancy, for example, is on effective communication and conflict resolution. I love doing that. So even if I'm not making much money, because of my passion, I will continue doing that because I feel like there is value. And that's another thing. Is there value in the services that you have to offer? What values are they? Write them out, identify and write them out, because those are the things that will drive you. And also, who are your competitors? Look at other people around you that have started such initiatives. What have they done that has made them great? What are their weaknesses? What do you see? What is the competitive advantage? What do you think that you can do better? So now you want to set something up, like you want to set up your own Facebook. If you want to set something up that's better than Facebook, look at the weaknesses of Facebook. What do you think that you could do that would be better, that will serve the world better? So yeah, those are from my humble business understanding.
Thank you, Ms. Aja. Thank you for your question. Okay, we're gonna get into session B. This is part 4 on education, self-care, professional development, careers. And we have a successful male panel today. So we have first Dr. Billy Jones. He's an English professor at Broward College and author, mentor, speaker, podcaster, the list goes on. Dr. Jones, whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Billy Jones. It's great to be here today. And first, hats off to the event hosts and coordinators. This is a wonderful opportunity. Continue the great work that you're doing. And so, my name is Dr. Jones. I'm an English professor at Broward College. I teach English and journalism and creative writing classes. And I'm also an author of short story collections and also the creator of Everyday Folks Network, which connects back to that platform, my writing platform. And so I will tell you that being a professor at Broward College, I'm here speaking in, I guess, dual capacities. First, as a professor of one of the nation's largest and most very engaged community colleges, which is Broward College. Our mission is to provide quality and affordable education to our community, as well as providing a training ground for the future workforce. So especially in these unprecedented times, community colleges are a great place to get started. And I tell many individuals, including my own family, my own mother, who's a community college graduate, to see the value of community colleges, especially the ones that we have, that you have right in your own locale, regardless of where you're at. I'm located in South Florida. I'm born and raised in Miami. I live in Miami, actually. But and obviously I live near the county line between the two counties. So I have an opportunity and had the privilege all my life of being immersed fully in 2 counties of great educational cultures. And so that's very exciting. And then the other thing here that I want to share with you about our volunteerism, at some point during this conversation, I'd love to chat more, and I'll share very briefly now. Broward College is doing something really magnificent when it comes to volunteerism. and showing how our community matters. Without the community, we wouldn't have the college. And so we have an initiative called Broward Up, which specifically looks at specific zip codes within the community of the entire county which the college serves. And we are strategically going into zip codes and creating an on-ramp for individuals to come to college. And so those zip codes are, represent various demographics from schools, socioeconomic standing, et cetera. And we are not only going out there to promote the college, but we're bringing services there to help address issues such as food insecurity, housing and affordability, housing security, and other needs. And so this is important work for me, and I love the community college model, and I could go on and on about it. And I just in the other panel, I wanted to say very in the closing, and I'm still trying to see how the process works here because I didn't want to take from other panelists. Just wanted to share that whether you're looking for a business, you're looking for an opportunity, community colleges have it. And we look forward, and I will always be a resource to any of you near or far if you need some support and any guidance in that regard.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jones. Next, we have one of our volunteers, Courtney, who's going to introduce the next two speakers on our male panel.
So next up, we have Dr. Adedaji Olusanya. Dr. Olusanya is a doctor and describes himself as a young man trying to make a difference in the world. He certainly has started so by creating Mentoring Minorities in Medicine, which raises money for scholarships to help Black students get the opportunity to go to medical school.
He seems to have technical difficulty. We can move on to Dr. Brazel for now. Courtney, go ahead.
So next up would be Dr. Brazel. Dr. Brazel is a two-time #1 best-selling author, professional speaker, educator, and leader.
Dr. Brazel, can you hear us?
So as we're waiting for Dr. Brazel to join us back again, we can go ahead and give Dr. Jones an opportunity to share his presentation.
Hello, everyone, back again. And so my presentation is actually a great conversation. And I also welcome opportunities for questions as, at the guidance of the host. I want to share something with you that's very important to me. And that is, I'm speaking especially to males for a moment. I'm going to start there first because I see some startling numbers that are going on that are happening across the nation that we need to address. And I'm particularly speaking to males who come from underrepresented communities who, and that represents a various demographic across the nation. We find at Broward College that a male from many underrepresented communities such as Latinx, African descent, and others are more likely to not complete college due to the fact that of several barriers, some of them that we mentioned earlier. Many of them are working, there are other opportunities. There's also obviously fiscal realities and budgetary constraints. And also to the idea of, well, the on-ramp for college, the perception of what college looks like today. And that includes other barriers in terms of the ones we mentioned earlier, like food insecurities and things of that nature. And so what we find is when they do come to the college, we also recognize that we need to create a platform where we can keep them, retain them, right? And so after about, and I've been 20 years, this is my 25th year in education. And so in that experience, I've observed this. We need an on-ramp that can help make these males know that college or post-secondary opportunities, whether they be vocational or alike, they're all great opportunities. But they also need to see faces and familiar voices, right, that connect them to that. So we created a program called the Pre-College Summer Leadership Institute for High School Males, which creates an opportunity for males who are currently in high school. They take a 3-credit student life skills course, college credit elective for free at the college. And for 3-4 weeks, they're at the college all day with college professors, I had the fortunate pleasure of starting this program and being the lead of it now to this day. And what we do is we create them an on-ramp of opportunities from college awareness, career readiness, leadership exploratory, because it is a leadership institute. We want you to explore your leadership potential. And the more that you learn your passion, you also begin to define your purpose. And so what's happened out of that is that it's created such an on-ramp, not only from high school. Now these males are realizing, hey, community college is a great opportunity for me. Now they're coming to us, and we're working on scholarships to help keep these males involved while they're progressing through the college through what we call the Minority Male Initiative, that gives them other services that were just like the SLS, but throughout their entire college career at the college. And so, and also in that includes servitude, folks. When I was in college, when I was growing up, let me go back a bit. When I was growing up, some time ago, I grew up here in Miami, Florida. And if many of you, I know many of you are from different demographics across the nation, which is awesome. And I know some of our event hosts are from South Florida as well. One of the things that I recognize is I grew up in a middle-class Black neighborhood where I had to be bused to other schools where there were with other kids who did not represent my culture. So at an early stage, I recognized the value of being engaged and also being immersed culturally within other communities. That also came with some requirements, meaning I had to stay the course. I needed to do what I needed to do. But I love what our host said earlier, and that was this, that we should always get involved. Yes, the education is very important, but you need to develop your social support networks. So if you're in high school right now, and if there's a student club or function on campus, get involved in something. Exercise your leadership and your professional skills development. Those skills, I would say, the soft skills, AKA the employability skills, pay the bills. And so if you're not able to make those social support networks, it doesn't mean you won't get to your goal, but it will be easier to get to those goals when you've accomplished and created that support group and understand what it's like to run a meeting or a function, what it means to be disciplined as an athlete. Props to those of you who are student athletes as well. That's another support group because you're committing to the institution in another capacity. You're an ambassador of the institution through the athleticism of what you do. And then also, if you don't find something you like, then go to your student life department. Find something that is of interest to you. There are countless student interest groups that can be created, and that also exercises your leadership. So all of those things can be transferable to the world of work and, of course, reality. And so I was fortunate to have had some pushes along the way. I'm not going to say the journey was true, but I had to make this decision that I wanted to make something better of myself because I watched people around me. I'm not going to say I came from a perfect family. I watched some individuals around me, great examples and some examples that I also learned from that weren't so great. And I started recognizing the things that I wanted to have and accomplish and to contribute in my life and to the world. And I took those on and I started developing myself, getting a part of student clubs and organizations, mentorship. I played football in high school. I did all this great stuff, but I also realized it's not only about doing the work, it's about making the commitment. And in each of those exercises, I started realizing, wait, if I can make the commitment to do these things that I enjoy, wouldn't it be cool to transfer that to a career and know who I am and my purpose? And so that made all the difference. And so as I was growing up, I recognized that, hey, I like to write. I have a gift for gab. So I always knew I loved to write. I love language and I love engaging with people. And so I joined things in high school for electives, that allowed me to exercise that. Student newspaper, broadcast journalism, things of that nature. And all of that helped push. And that started in middle school and I carried it over to high school. So when I got to college, I said, you know what, I got to find something to keep this going. And of course I did. And here I am today. So the story is not about me. It's really about what you can do and the roles in which you can play. Because I can always say this, we should never operate on a subordinating conjunction when. I'll start making a contribution to help other people when I finish my degree. I'll start making my contribution when I graduate from high school. Don't wait for when, there's a need right now. And so that servitude is so important in terms of your commitment. Recently, my student club at the college did a work at the Children's Harbor, which is located in South Florida. And this is a home for foster children. And we go in there and we participate in a myriad of things from the holiday seasonal festivals, bringing donations and goods. But our goal, we want to connect directly with those young people because some of those young people don't have all the luxuries that some of us have. And so we need to be of service to them. And so those are the kinds of things that I want my students to see and that you can be doing right now too. And granted, yes, we do that at the community college, but every college university does these things as well. But also, it doesn't take a college to do that when you have service organizations, churches, and other civic organizations and groups within your own locale who need your help. And so, if we can find our time for Instagram or for Snapchat, and we can find our time to engage in the things that we enjoy, which is important because life is tough. We're living in some unprecedented times. We can also find the time to do well and do good for others. Now I could keep going. I didn't want to keep going because I know I have 2 other colleagues, so I want to respect time. So I'll defer to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jones. Okay, now we have Dr. Brazel. I think he's ready to go now.
Thank you.
Just kidding. Edwina, can we play the special video presentation all the way from Ghana in the meantime?
Most certainly. Just see, I think Dr. Brazel is trying to get his phone connected. Dr. Brazel, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, we're just going to push the time up just a little bit so that we can get started and make sure that our students have an opportunity to ask some questions after. Do you mind?
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll go ahead and get your presentation ready.
Okay.
Ready, waiting.
All right. Good morning or afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone is having a great day out there. Thank you so much for having me. I wanted to talk to you briefly about your biggest asset. Your biggest asset. If you would go to the next screen for me. And so I want to start off with this. When was the last time you looked at yourself in the mirror and said to yourself, I am worth it, I am worthy, and I am valued? If you would, please type in the chat box for me. When was the last time you looked at yourself in the mirror and said, I am worth it, I am worthy, and I am valued? Go ahead and type in the chat box for me if you would. Never, I don't think so, I'm not sure. Okay, not in a while, been a while. Awesome, awesome. And while you're typing in the chat box, just let me just tell you a little bit about me. I am Dr. Christopher Brazel. I am the CEO and founder of Limelight Transformations. I am an educator. I've been in education for 2 decades as a teacher, mentor, coach, assistant principal, and principal, husband, a father of 3, and I am a 2-time best-selling author. I see someone saying a few weeks ago, but not enough. Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to ask that question. You can go to the next slide. Ask that question one more time. When was the last time that you looked in the mirror and said to yourself, I am worthy, I am worth it, and I am valued? Because here's the thing. Go to the next slide. If you don't value yourself, then you will always be attracted to people who don't value you either. If you don't value yourself, you will always be attracted to those type of people. And so your biggest asset is your value. And as we're talking about volunteering and being a part of something, if you're not valuing yourself, then what you're doing is you're allowing people to just walk all over you, when in fact you have it within inside of yourself to bring this out. And so on the other hand, next slide, You can say to yourself, I am humble, I am trustworthy, I am wise, I am unique, I am worth it, I am worthy, and I am valued. Now, when you start talking to yourself, you have to be careful how you're talking to yourself because you are listening. Every time you talk to yourself, you're really talking to yourself, and yourself is listening to the thoughts and the things that are coming out. So here's a story I want to tell you. There was a father who his daughter graduated with honors. So he decided to give her a car. And he told her, he said, what I want you to do is take the car down to the used car lot and tell them I want to sell it. So she took the car down to the used car lot and told them she want to sell it. She comes back to her dad and says, they told me that they would offer me $1,000 because the car is very old. So he said, okay, so what I want you to do now is I want you to take the car to the pawn shop and tell them I want to sell it. So she takes the car to the pawn shop. The pawn shop offers her $100 because it's not only old, but it's a little rusted. So she comes back, she tells her father, and he says, okay, now I want you to take the car to the car show. And when she takes the car to the car show, watch this now, several people offered $100,000 for the car. And she comes back and she tells her dad, several people offered $100,000 because it is an iconic car. It was a Skyline Nissan R34. And he said to her, I wanted you to know that the right place values you the right way. And that is important. So don't get upset. Please, please, whatever you do, if you are not valued, do not be upset, do not be angry. It just means you are in the wrong place. Never stay in that place where no one sees your value. And this is very important because, see, your value, it leads to your success. And John Maxwell, if you're not familiar with John Maxwell, very, very, very influential leader. And he said this, success is when I add value to myself. But this next part is if you go back to that quote, please, for me. The next part is the piece. When we're talking about the importance of volunteering, significance is when I add value to others. And what you're doing when you volunteer is you are adding significance to others by the work that you are doing. And so I have some images of some icons, and then you can go to the next screen. So you have LeBron James. Now, just hold it on that screen for a second. LeBron James, as you know, he just won another NBA championship. But when you think of LeBron James, whether or not you like him or not, you have to respect and recognize the fact that he adds value to any team he's been on, whether it was the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Miami Heat, the Los Angeles Lakers, or in the community. He continues, even someone of his stature, continues to add value to others. If you go to the next slide, very famous family, the Obamas. If you think about, they added so much value to an entire country for 8 years and continue to do so time and time and time again. And if you go to the next one, and if you don't recall this image, this is an image of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, and the value and the significance that they added to others throughout their career. So as I said, I am a two-time best-selling author. If you're interested in a leadership book, this is my first book, Outlier Leadership. Next slide. And this is my newest book. It's called Thriving After High School, which you can get on Amazon. And it's a letter that I wrote to myself about life and relationships. Feel free to follow me on Instagram, or you can email me, author.brazel@gmail.com, or you can visit the website, www.author.brazel.com, where you can go and purchase a copy of the book. It has been an absolute honor and privilege to speak to you all today. LRL, I thank you so much for what you all are doing. And youth out there, remember, significance is what you're doing when you add values to others. Hey, y'all be blessed and be a blessing. I'm Dr. B, and I'm out. Peace.
Dr. Brazel, woo! Hey, I'm worthy. It's me. I'm worthy.
Yes, yes, you are.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, we have Miss Felina Jean back online, coming from South Africa. Miss Jean, are you up and ready?
I'm here. I am ready. I'm not sure if the video will diminish the quality. So I'll try without video if that's okay.
Of course. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. Having me again, I appreciate the opportunity. It's quite an honor, and I'm our mentor. Honor, and I'm really work my class.
Miss Jean, we apologize. I think our lines are still breaking up.
And so diaspora. And currently some of the services that I have been offering and older people as well is expat coaching. We do live in a global economy, and for I really stay cities and as is a lot of and study broad opportunities. So I the part and also I I feel like
Okay, Ms. Jean, we're going to take a moment to allow Debbie to come back on live, and then we're going to try again. We do appreciate you for being with us, and we certainly do understand the circumstance of trying to connect globally with the internet matter. We go ahead and pass it over to Debbie.
In this crisis.
Who knew? So sorry, Miss Jean. We'll get back to you as soon as we can fix your connection. Okay, next we have our volunteer, Dr. Heather Carroll. She'll be introducing our next speaker.
Hi, everyone. Our next speaker is Miss Janae Walker, who is a professional personal development speaker, coach, and trainer. Jay is the Chief Inspiration Officer at the Success Group Incorporated and hopes to inspire both entrepreneurs and career professionals to win and be the absolute best version of themselves.
Thank you so much, Dr. Heather, for that. Thank you so much, LRL. I am so proud of you guys. I was able to log on, and finally, for the past 3 years, I've been a volunteer, but this time I got a chance to actually log on and actually sit and listen to the speakers and to see the young people take charge of this conference is just so awe-inspiring. I just want to say thank you guys so much for this opportunity to speak. And when I heard the theme for the conference this year, I knew exactly what I had to speak on. When it talks about do something worth writing and write something worth doing, I said, oh my goodness, I have got to share my story about when I worked for a small pharmaceutical company, and I actually, for the first time in my life, wrote down my goals, right? For the first time, when I got my dream job, is the first time I wrote down my goals. And so imagine, finally landing your dream job, and you go away for a whole week, and you're in this classroom-like setting, and you're connecting with people all over the country, people who are hungry to be successful. And it was just so interesting because we were learning so many different things about how to interact and connect with physicians and hospitals and things of that nature. And right before we were all about to be dispersed to go back home to our respective states and cities and begin our sales career, right? They had a young man come into our training class. And I remember it like it was yesterday. His name was Matt. And Matt came into the training class, and he talked to us about all the things that he was doing in his marketplace to be successful. He was telling us about, how he was able to set up all of these different programs, some of his physicians that he was able to connect with, and he really got us pumped up and motivated. But before Matt actually left, he had us take out a piece of paper, and he told us to write 3 to 5 goals that we wanted to accomplish within the next year or so. And I had heard about that. I mean, they talked about this in college, right? But I had never really did it. I really did not pay any attention to it. So he had us write down our goals. So I wrote down 3 to 5 statements. I folded the paper up, and then we had to turn it in to Matt. And I'll be honest, I went back home. I started being successful. I never once thought about that piece of paper that had my goals on it. So I went out to the marketplace. I was doing some really big things. Within 3 months, on top of my salary, I was earning an additional $5,000, which was amazing, right? Amazing to bring home that type of money. Also, within 4 to 6 months, I want to say it was my 4th or 5th month, my manager had asked me to step up and train and to work with other sales professionals in the state of Florida, Alabama, and Georgia, and get them motivated and pumped up and excited about, going out there and making money and selling and helping people. And so that was really cool. And then on my 11th month, I actually got to be promoted to an actual area sales trainer where I got to travel the whole southern part of the United States, training other sales rep, and I really cool title and it's really cool position. And it was just so amazing, right? It was so amazing. And then a month later, which put me at my year mark, I got a letter in the mail, and it was addressed to me from this guy named Matt. And I opened up the letter and I'm like, oh, this is the guy. I think he was in Kentucky or somewhere out west. And I said, this is the guy that was in our training class. So when I opened up the letter, you would never believe it, but it was actually the same piece of paper with my goals on it. And when I read the goals that I had written just a year ago, I had the most overwhelming feeling of just pride, excitement, and disbelief. Okay, disbelief. Do you know what my goal number one was? Goal number one was to make $5,000. My goal was to make $5,000. I had started to achieve that within my first quarter of being with the company. You know what my second goal was? My second goal was to be in the top 3 in my region. As a new rep out of a region of 14 or 15 people, that is almost unheard of. But I placed number 3 after my first quarter with the company. Do you want to know what my third goal is? I said I wanted to be promoted to sales trainer. Now, if you don't understand the significance, let me tell you the significance of that. My company did not even have sales trainers. That was a created position that I had gotten. Can you believe that I basically created the success that I had at my company? And if I can do it, a small town girl from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, barely graduated high school, barely graduated undergrad, barely made it through grad school, right? I'm telling you, there is a science behind writing down what you want. There's something that happens to the chemicals inside of our brain. And I want to share with you 5 reasons to write down your goals. And I wrote it down, and I wrote this specifically for you guys. So I hope that you guys are going to take some notes, and I want you to carry this with you. So I wrote an acronym of goals. So GOALS. So the G stands for get clear. Writing down your goals helps you to get clear on what it is that you really want to achieve. Sometimes we need a little bit of clarity to really understand what it is that we want and what it is that we don't want. So take a piece of paper and write down exactly what it is that you want. When we go to the O stands for on time. Writing down your goals keeps you on time and on track for where you need to be when you need to be there, right? Sometimes our goals, they have deadlines. Sometimes we have to strategically be in a specific spot at a certain time in order to make what we want happen. And writing down your goals helps you get clear on where you need to be when you need to be there. The A stands for activity. You have to understand what activity you need to be doing in order to reach your goal. You always have to be doing something. And you guys are probably too young to remember Sonic the Hedgehog, but it was a game where this little Sonic the Hedgehog, he used to run really fast and his feet used to move really fast in his really big sneakers, right? Somebody says, I love Sonic. I do too, right? But when we have our goals, we always want to keep the activity towards that goal moving. And when you're able to write down your goals, it keeps focus on the activities that you need to be doing. It also helps you from being distracted, because I'm here to tell you that the more successful you become, the more distractions come, right? So when you have your goals and you have them written down, you are able to stay focused on what's important to you. L stands for leads you to be motivated or leads you to stay motivated. Writing down your goals leads you to staying motivated. There are so many times that I can tell you where I felt like my goals were just not going to happen for whatever reason. L stands for leads you to stay motivated, leads you to stay motivated, right? So as you guys know, there's this saying out there that says, that talks about accomplishing your fails. And when you have goals, not everything goes the right way all the time. Sometimes you have to pivot. Sometimes you have to adjust. Sometimes you have to get back up and dust yourself off. But when you are able to write down your goals and go back and read them and look at them and remember your purpose, it helps you to stay motivated. Motivated, absolutely. And the last letter, S. S is so important. This is where a lot of people forget all the time. But the S stands for set yourself up to celebrate. Set yourself up to celebrate. Writing down your goals helps you know when you've accomplished something and when you can reward yourself and when you can celebrate. Because the same way the hand to brain connection helps you to remember your goals and stay track, our brains also work on reward systems and celebration. And so without that, it is so difficult to keep moving. So find ways to celebrate, find ways to keep yourself engaged and motivated. Celebrate yourself, celebrate your wins, right? But also remember, if there's a time when something go right, you can celebrate the simple fact that you kept going when something did not go right. So always celebrate yourself, always celebrate your win. I'm so excited for each and every one of you today, and I really hope that I was able to inspire you to write down your goals, keep moving forward, and to keep pushing. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to be here with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Up next, we have Kimora. Kimora, are you ready? I think Kimura is having some connection issues. So in the meantime, we're going to take just a quick 5-minute break just for everyone to stretch, get up, gather our thoughts, gather our notes. So we will be back in 5 minutes. Thank you.